Let's do the damn thing.
Oh, you know what time it is. It's time to take it to the Birdland. It's about to go down. Hope y'all ready. Yeah, let's go. Come and roll with me to the Birdland. Friends got to giving you the word, man. Any other BS is absurd, man. Sports talk and they give it to you firsthand. They can talk Terps, they can talk O's. Yeah, they both lit. That's how it goes. Baltimore squad, Ravens and Poe. Better tune in. Here gonna show. Birdland, Birdland, Birdland. BS. Birdland, Birdland, Birdland. BS.
It's all about that BS, peeps.
BS is right. What's up, BSers? Fred, Scott, James, and Drew in the studio tonight. Apologize for any technical difficulties that we may have. Windows decided to put out new updates, and it screwed freaking everything up. So be patient with us. If you're hearing any kind of weird echoing or anything going on crazy, let us know in the chat room.
We'll take care of it.
We'll try to take care of it as best we can going through this whole thing. Man.
Well, Friday's back.
I am back. It's been a couple of weeks, man. It kind of threw me off with this whole thing. Was sick there for a little bit, but I'm on the mend. I'm feeling better. So I appreciate all the kind words and everything. I did watch every week, so I appreciate the support as always.
Chuck says it sounds right now. Appreciate it, Chuck.
All right, good. Well, hopefully you guys are out there. You're all getting ready for Thanksgiving. It's Thanksgiving week, and we're thankful in this room, the four of us, for what was an ugly win in Chicago.
That was an ugly turkey.
There was an ugly turkey. Ugly duckling.
And this week, it's primetime football at the bank, guys, because we take on the Brownies as they come to town for Sunday night football.
Yeah, man.
Some major announcements, cool things. Fred's going to get into that. Exciting stuff going to be happening in the stands this weekend.
It's going to be an exciting time to be down at the bank. And Oriole brings home another award, some more hardware for the team, and could some birds be maybe leaving the nest? We're going to talk a little bit about that in a short Oriole segment.
Yeah, I said the Orioles segment wasn't going to come back, but it did. Fred had to come back, had to get the Orioles in there.
Yeah.
And it's down to the final game for the Terps, and any hope for a bowl game here, they're scratching and clawing. You're hoping and praying. Ryan is probably crying in a corner, and the reason he's not here tonight because they took a spanking from Michigan. Didn't start off that way.
Putting it lightly, man. It was an ass beating. And this week's rundown, speaking of ass whipping, we're talking crazy contracts, fights on the court and outside the ring, and a feel-good story out of Michigan. Who thought that was possible? But a feel-good story out of Michigan.
Ryan's so pissed right now.
Before we do too much, though, we do want to remind you, remember that team that we've been talking about for the last 2 years over at MD Crash?
Yeah.
Well, they've expanded.
Oh.
More lawyers and handling a much broader spectrum of cases now. Still handling all your auto accidents and injuries at work, of course, but now the team at Bowers, Hassan, and Herndon can help you with family law issues from divorce to custody to child support, etc., even criminal cases from traffic tickets to murder. So if you're a murderer and you need a phone number to call, write this number now.
Henry Ruggs, write this number down.
667-220-6500. You can call or text this number anytime for any of your needs. So save it now. Update that number we've been telling you about for the last 2 years in your phone. That number again, 667-220-6500. Again, call or text them anytime to get the team at Bowers, Hassan, and Herndon on the case for you. All right, Scott, it's time for some Flock Talk.
Yes.
And like I said, it was an ugly win in Chicago, but as the title says, just win. A win is a win. We're not going to let the coaching staff get off that easy, that this was just a win. We're going to talk about some things that happened in this game, some hot button topics. A certain crowd that is tuned in tonight, I'm sure, is going to have plenty to talk about. But before we get into the Chicago game, there's been some news around the team the last couple of days as the Cardinals come in, swoop in, and take Trace McSorley off the Ravens practice squad. Obviously, they're dealing with their own quarterback situation out there. You know, Kyler Murray's been out for a couple of weeks. Colt McCoy's looked fantastic. coming in, as a backup quarterback,
Yes.
leading a top tier team in the NFC, and he's holding his own. He's done good.
He's doing well with the team, and it just shows you the weapons that this team has, and that they can really propel with I don't want to say anybody, but they can succeed with guys who others may have just thrown away.
Yeah, I mean weapons, but you got their top target in DeAndre Hopkins on the sideline. J.J. Watt hasn't been out there on the defensive side, so they're not the same team defensively. And to do what they're doing is pretty impressive. But Trace McSorley, I know some people out there are a little hurt, to see him go.
A little hurt?
Yeah, listen.
Some people are butthurt.
There's a certain fan in here. It's a Penn State fan. Has been a Trace McSorley fan for a long time. I think the guy was a good third option to have on this roster, and that's what he was. He was a third option, especially after the kind of game that Tyler Huntley had this past week, solidifying his spot there at number 2 and why he was selected there. Is it nice to have an insurance policy like Trace McSorley on your practice squad to kind of elevate when you need him? Of course. The familiarity with the system, that's big. But again, I don't think this is going to be much of a big loss.
No, I think the thing that I would look at it is that Trace, from an athleticism standpoint, I feel like Trace mimics Kyler a little bit better than Colt does. But I think he's going to be the backup to the backup, so to speak, for right now, unless something crazy happens. But obviously, something's going on out there in Arizona. The fact that they feel they need another guy, because remember, he has to be on their active squad now. For them to pick him up off waivers, he has to be on the squad.
He's got to be active for, I think, is it 3 weeks? I think is the rule.
3 or 4 weeks. I can't remember what it is, but somewhere around in there. Exactly. So it tells you that there's some extending concern or something going on out there.
I believe that, and I think maybe the injury with Kyler is a little bit more alarming than they expected, but they've got a bye week coming up. Again, Colt McCoy's played well, so they're not in a position where they're in like a must-win situation when they do get out there.
It's a 3-week insurance policy.
Exactly, and I think it's just an insurance policy. We could see McSorley come back in a week or two. That could still very possibly happen.
If they drop him again and we take him back off waivers.
Yeah, absolutely. We'll see. They did end up signing Kenji Bahar, who was with the team in the preseason as the fourth quarterback, local kid. I think he played at Calvert Hall.
That we said wasn't going to get picked up anywhere. Like, we knew that that was going to happen.
That was just an easy fill-in. Again, somebody that's familiar with the system that was here with us in the preseason.
Local could come right out to the complex and be ready to go.
Right. Offensive line, we all know the issues that we've had at offensive line, both in performance on the field and from an injury standpoint, right? Well, one guy that was an undrafted guy, offensive tackle Adrian Ely, who,
Ryan's boy,
he showed some promise of a developmental tackle in preseason. Ended up getting suspended due to performance-enhancing drugs. We talked about that a few weeks ago. Well, his suspension was then over, and along with that was his tenure with the Ravens, as the Ravens ended up releasing him today to make room for Benji Bahar and a couple other pieces that they added. I think they added another offensive lineman, and they added a cornerback. Nobody of any kind of note or anybody name worthy. Just some pieces to have to fill in the roster.
Some depth that we ultimately need. You know that linebacker core needs it. You know the cornerbacks need it. So the depth there, and for a guy that, who knows? Maybe there's more to the story on them releasing him. The time will tell if we ever bring him back for whatever reason.
Nick's asking when is Big Country back? He was actually active and back with the team this past week.
Didn't get out there much.
Didn't get out there, so I expect him to be back and ready to play this week. They need him at that left guard spot.
Another guy coming back that you hope he's ready to play sooner rather than later, because we were seeing some good things come out of him before he goes down. Malik Harrison returns to practice. This is the guy that we talked about several weeks ago, right around Halloween. I think it was actually on Halloween that he was shot by that stray bullet in the leg. Just kind of
grazed. I wouldn't say he was shot. He was hit by a stray bullet, so you're not technically shot if you're hit by a stray in there.
You're grazed, but a shot's a shot, all right?
It's a flesh wound. It's a flesh wound.
And I'm going to tell you this. Remember when you were doing the bow and you fired a bow?
We don't need to go there.
Remember that?
Why are we bringing up past shit, Scott?
Because it's worse than that. That's why.
All right. One guy who won't be back probably at least for another couple of weeks, Pernell McPhee, ended up having some cleanup work done on his knee. He is expected to be back this season, but probably won't see him until the end of the season or going into the playoffs if the Ravens hopefully get to that point. he had slowed down a lot. I know the knee had been bothering him. He might be at the tail end of his career. You know, we were just hoping on a budget-friendly kind of deal with a young linebacker core that we have, especially the outside linebacker
Knows the
organization. Knows the organization. We were hoping we could squeeze the juice, get one more year out of him, especially in like a limited snap role, but he's had to play more than expected.
But, and Harbs expects him back this season, right? So, I mean, that's the positive side to all this. The one thing that I thought was interesting, because there's rumors starting to fly, and in part because of what's happened with our running back core, rumors are flying on social media, and the chatter is going more so than the rumors. Texans are set to release Phillip Lindsay. Now, the Texans obviously have not had any success. Phillip Lindsay really hasn't been able to get anything going, so they're releasing him. So people kind of jumping on the bandwagon of, hey, we need a running back. Let's go do it.
Yeah, Drew, I wanted to get your take on Phillip Lindsay because this is a guy that as we were getting closer to the trade deadline, I thought might be a good piece to add to this roster. Yeah. Just because he does give you both. He gives you the ability to catch the ball out of the backfield. He's a decent running back. He obviously had the connection to Baltimore when he went undrafted. He was deciding between Denver and Baltimore. What do you think about Phillip Lindsay and his prospect of coming here?
Does he play special teams?
That'll get him on the roster.
Apparently, if you play special teams, you'll get snaps. That's what I hear from the coach. I guess at this point, yes, obviously I've said enough. I'm tired of even thinking that Tyson's getting a shot. We already know that after all the talk last week.
Right.
So taking the Tyson out of the equation, I mean, he's got young legs comparable to Murray and Freeman. I mean, Freeman's done well. I mean, obviously you're not getting that. The yards per carry isn't high, but at least Freeman seems to be doing that kind of nasty work to break tackles and kind of gain first downs that you haven't been seeing out of the other couple guys. So, I mean, I guess it couldn't hurt to have a look-see because, like I said, he is younger compared to what you've been having in here. But I do bring in okay, you bring this guy in, and then all of a sudden, you're going to start really just giving him snaps when you have guys in-house that you're just not utilizing at all.
Yeah, to your I don't know what happened there.
Can't take you guys anywhere.
I would got the button. I had it right here.
Oh man.
Oh man, we're
Just
going
hold
everywhere.
on,
man.
Hold on.
Goddamn Windows. What is happening
well,
here?
Windows is being a pain in the ass, so we're gonna have to get through this. It's just gonna have to be what it is.
This is great.
There's not
How
much
did that
we
even
can do.
happen?
I don't know. It's something with the back end of this thing.
Amateur hour.
I'll handle the switches.
Oh
Yeah.
man.
Yeah.
What a shit show.
Well, no, it has to do with the back end, so that you guys know we're having some of these updates that are causing heck with OBS system
And
we
transitions
use
and everything.
our Stream Deck.
Don't
So
worry. If anybody wants to donate, we would like that Mac PC.
I mean, who doesn't want to watch this again? This is a great video.
it is a great video. Oh man.
Oh man.
Well,
I don't know what's longer, this video or Scott's deck.
I don't know. They're about the same.
This
in
video
length.
never seems that long when it's for its purpose. The fact that now it's played in the middle of the show is taking forever.
It has nothing to do with switching to
Woo!
Apple. Do not do any camera
No.
switches for the immediate future until I give the green light here.
Getting back to your point, though, Phillip Lindsay, it would be a nice addition. Like I said, I was clamoring for him prior to the trade deadline. But you're right. With this offense, it's not simple just plug and play and you're going to bring him in tomorrow and expect him to start next week. I mean, obviously, it took Le'Veon Bell and Devontae Freeman a few weeks to get into the playbook, learn the playbook, get up to speed, and figure out the offense. Now, I'm not sure who said it, but somebody in the chat room, I think it was Living Legend on YouTube, mentioned a good point. Phillip Lindsay does better in an offense with a fullback. We are one of the few offenses that actually runs an offense with a fullback. So I do think he'd be a good fit. I'm not going to say he's going to be a game changer for us and take our running game to the next level, but I do think that he could be a potential upgrade because, listen, right now out of our running backs, we're getting 3 yards a clip at best, 3 to 3.5 yards a clip. We were averaging 4.5, 5 yards a clip when we had Dobbins out there and Gus Edwards. I don't think it gets us to that level, but I do think it gets us a little bit better back there.
Yeah, I think he provides you something that you didn't need to. We know that Bell just didn't work out. Interestingly enough, after all the crap that happened, we hear Roman make the comments last week. This was the only thing I wanted to kind of add on that you didn't get a chance to talk about. What do you think of Roman going off on his comments about, when he was asked about Tyson, and then he starts talking about Le'Veon Bell and the fact that they would, he really enjoyed it, and then there's rumors coming out that they wouldn't mind having him back. Like, I mean, make anything of that?
The Ravens have historically done that. I was actually more impressed with Le'Veon Bell and the way he handled his exit with the tweet that he put out. That was pretty professional coming from him, because most of the stuff that he's put out has been trashing his other teams. So I do think that there still could be a potential for the Ravens to bring back Le'Veon Bell later. The Ravens play chess, right? We talk about it all the time with them moving pieces around and whatnot. Nobody was, like Ryan said a couple of weeks ago, nobody was really calling the Ravens about their current group of running backs. No. The Ravens have no worries about Le'Veon Bell going out and signing somebody else. If they need him in a week or two because somebody goes down or they feel like he provides something in the matchup that they have, they'll bring him back. So, it is what it is. This is just the Ravens being the Ravens.
All right, fair enough. So let's get into the game itself. 7-3 is what we are now after a 16-13 victory. Winning by the skin of our teeth over the Bears. What are some things that stood out to you in this game? First and foremost, from the play or the play calling, whatever you want to start with.
I understand it wasn't a pretty game, right? And it wasn't. And winning a game 16-13 against the Bears.
Gonna change the camera to find out.
Oh man, here we go. Oh, there we go. All right. It wasn't a pretty game, but at the end of the day, you got to look at the big picture here, right? You got a guy starting his first NFL game as a quarterback without his wide receiver one in Hollywood. You got the defensive side missing two of their better corners in Anthony Averett and Jimmy Smith. You got no Brandon Williams in the middle of your defense, no Pernell McPhee like we talked about. This on top of all the masses of other injuries, right, that this team has dealt with this year. They went on the road, and won a game that they had to win. Again, just win, right? It doesn't matter how you do it. And if you look at every game that they've won this year, with the exception of the Chargers game and maybe the Broncos game, none of them have been pretty. They've played from behind. Lamar has had to dig them out of holes. Nothing about this year has been easy except for those two games, right? The Ravens just continue to figure out a way to get it done. I know there's been a lot of faith talk in the locker room with Harbaugh. Harbaugh is a God preaching man type, coach, and he preaches that a lot in the locker room. But you got to buy into it at some point, because, I know there's a lot of people out there that are saying, oh, the Ravens are luckiest team in the NFL. When this happens over and over and over again, it becomes a lot more than just luck.
It's next man up, right? Because when you have all these guys go down, we did get back. We got back McCary. We got back Boyle. We got back Murray. Murray didn't look all that.
Craig Zero, we're going to talk about that later.
Murray didn't look all that great, right? Boyle, I think it was fairly. Did he even get out there at all? Did I see him out there for any snaps? Boyle.
He was out there.
He was out there,
yeah,
because they actually overthrew him on one over top of his head.
And then you have Macari coming back. Now, Macari did have some struggles, but with that defensive front for the Bears, they were wreaking havoc on our offensive line.
Yeah, they were. Most of it was on AV's side, on Villanueva's side, which he's had his fits with a couple of players this year where he's just been absolutely dominated and beaten with speed and power. And this was a game where, what was his name?
Robert Quinn, yeah.
3.5 sacks himself. I want to say the team had 6. It was absolutely a problem. And again, you got not a rookie, but a first-time starting quarterback out there having to deal with that pressure with a makeshift offensive line.
Yeah, it makes you real happy that Khalil Mack and Akeem Hicks weren't out there.
Yeah, right. Exactly.
We're not winning this game because there's probably like 10 sacks. Legitimately, there's probably 10 sacks.
Absolutely. But you got to give credit where credit's due. Listen, again, was it pretty? Was it a Lamar-type performance? No, but Tyler Huntley in his first NFL start looked good. I mean, doesn't find out until he's getting on the bus to go to the stadium through a text from Lamar that he's even going to start. So it's not like he had all this time to prepare. Did he take snaps in practice because Lamar was sick? Absolutely. But he didn't know he was actually going to make this start until literally he was on the bus getting ready to go.
Yeah, which I'm sitting there going, okay, I get it. But how does Lamar, getting him that text before somebody else gets to him to let him know? Or do they
Because ultimately it came down to Lamar. It was Lamar's decision whether he was going to play or not. It wasn't even a team decision. They left that up to Lamar.
Lamar not getting on the bus wasn't a hint to him.
Well, Lamar was there. No, Lamar showed up.
He was there. Walk in?
No, he showed up, but he didn't show up on the same bus that they all did.
No, he was on a bus with like 6 people, they said.
Right,
they were trying to limit his exposure. But yeah, he probably, Lamar probably sent a text, made a phone call to, a couple people, whoever he had to notify at the time, let him know he wasn't going, and he wanted it to come from him.
Well, look, it worked out. He did well, right? When
completed over 70% of his passes.
Exactly. And maybe some of that Roman very conservative game call here, which I can get given that this was such short notice. It's, put the pressure on yourself. Would you be able to perform in a situation like that where you're not expecting
asking a lot?
You've been practicing, but you're kind of the backup role, and all of a sudden you're thrust out there.
Yeah.
Most people would falter. He didn't. He did have slight struggles. He was sacked a few times, but we talked about the offensive line getting, really kind of getting manhandled in this. But outside of that, one interception, but it really wasn't on him.
It wasn't on him at all.
It was a tight window.
That he fitted into, that it fell out of him and literally on the lap of the defender who's laying on the ground.
Yeah.
It wasn't on him at all.
The defender touched it before Andrews, so it affects Andrews too. So I wouldn't put it all on Andrews either.
Not really the like you said, it is a lucky pick. But Romo was right. Like if he kind of like held it a little bit too long. Whereas Andrews was already there. If he threw it just that little tick sooner.
As soon as Andrews released and stopped, he would have been fine.
It would have been better. I mean, you know what I mean? Give him any kind of blame. Yeah, it's nitpicking, but it was an unlucky pick.
And there were a lot of those situations. A lot of plays where he was just a tick off. He was either a tick high, a tick late on, his read and progression. And to your point, Romo is one of the best ones to listen to when he's actually, breaking down and critiquing a quarterback, because he's not out there to destroy or rip somebody apart. He's giving you useful information as a fan.
He gives you the straight facts.
Exactly, yeah. And it's good.
And how much of that, with Huntley was because of the ultimate pressure that he was under.
Yeah, they blitzed like 60-something% of the time, 64% of the dropbacks, the most in the NFL this year. Obviously, they were watching the Miami game. Miami blitzed the shit out of Lamar, right?
Cover zero how many times?
They knew what was working, right? And even to your point, Drew, not having their best pass rusher out there in a Khalil Mack or whatever, when they put the pressure on Huntley, they were able to get to him. So to be able to pull out a game like that, when also you got to factor in Roman was calling a pretty conservative game for him, considering, again, this is his first NFL start. They're just trying to do enough to win the game. But again, offense wasn't super exciting, but he did enough late on a 72-yard drive in 79 seconds in his first career start. Not many quarterbacks in history can say that.
And we talked about Andrews, but what we saw was the effect that Andrews has on quarterbacks, period. Andrews makes quarterbacks comfortable.
Made one of the best catches I've seen this year.
Oh, my God.
That one-handed catch over top of his head. Yeah,
that
the one right above
me.
me. Yeah. Insane.
It was sick. And he was able to get comfortable with him. You saw the comfortability between Huntley and him, and it just goes to show what type of tight end he actually is.
Yeah. Andrews on the day, 8 catches for 73 yards. Go ahead, James.
I just want to say thank God the Bears have worse coaches than we do, because and a guy that wanted to I guess look like a star and score that touchdown, because if he would just fell down, and they would took a couple of knees, they kicked the field goal, they would probably won the game. So I'll take that, because bad coaching deserved like games like this losing.
We're going to talk about bad coaching and bad coaching decisions here in a little bit. Stay tuned, because I'm going to dive into it.
We're talking about sticking with the offense for a second. You mentioned what we saw Andrews do. Duvernay came up in some good first down.
Duvernay.
He said it like 6 different ways during that.
It was ridiculous.
But no, 4 receptions, 37 yards, but they came at good first down situations.
Yeah. Had a big catch late in that drive, too.
Yes. Watkins, a little quiet, 3 receptions, 48 yards, but.
Big one.
One big play late. that really kind of.
Was it just me, or were any of us out there holding our breath when that
he
ball
got
went in
hit?
the air? When the ball went in the air, and I seen it coming down, and I seen the defender. It happened in like slow motion for me. I'm like, oh, this is gonna hit him, and he's gonna get hit, and he's gonna drop it. It's gonna be Lee Evans all over
It's
again.
all right. It wasn't near the field goal post. So
Yeah, right. There was nothing to be scared of. But he held on to it. So again, it was a big catch. It was a blown coverage. Obviously,
Yes.
that's what left him wide open. It wasn't like he did anything special.
Well, I mean, they also
but
that's
he
another
caught the
one where
football.
they blitz cover zero with the blown coverage that wound up working out.
Right.
But the other thing that I wanted to bring up was the guy that we've been really high on since he came back from injury. Kind of, I guess you kind of called it like under the radar in this game.
Yeah.
You know, in Rashad Bateman.
Rashad Bateman had a very, very good game in this game, and it wasn't statistically. I think he only had like 3 catches for 29 yards in this game. So if you're looking at the box score, you're not going to be wowed by anything he did. But what he was able to do to force 2 big pass interference
Yep.
calls, and when I say force them, like he's a good actor, and he goes to contact a la Torrey Smith.
He lets his body just go with the flow.
Yeah.
Like he's loose enough that if a guy puts a hand on him, his body goes hand shift.
Right.
Like it's crazy, but it's the equivalent of you pushing over my son. Like it doesn't take much force, and his body is in that way that he can just absorb it and go with it.
Yeah, and again, we haven't had a wide receiver like that since Torrey Smith. That was one of Torrey Smith's specialties, was taking a Joe Flacco pass deep down the sideline and forcing a pass interference call. That is going to be super beneficial for this team as they move along the season. If this is something that he can continue to develop and continue to be good at, that's huge for Rashad Bateman. So yeah, again, big game for him. Let's switch over to the defensive side of the ball, because I think overall they played a good game. Again, you're only giving up 13 points on the road in Chicago. You didn't know how they were going to handle the rookie quarterback in Justin Fields. You know, if any team is used to defending a mobile quarterback, obviously it's going to be the Ravens getting a good shot at Lamar in practice. But Justin Fields, a little bit more. He's got a little bit better of an arm, deep ball, that kind of thing. He could sling the ball really, really well.
He doesn't have
Still kind of coming into his own as a rookie.
I would classify his run vision as not. He's still above average.
Yeah,
but he's not at the scale that you see Kyler Murray or Lamar Jackson or even even Pat Mahomes.
They're different types of runners. Whereas Fields is more of a physical runner. I would compare Fields more to like a Cam Newton, a little bit smaller version of Cam Newton. Whereas Lamar is obviously commonly compared to a Mike Vick. Right? They're both dual threat quarterbacks, but they're different dual threat quarterbacks. If that makes sense.
Makes sense.
But speaking of holding your breath, anybody else holding their breath the minute fucking he goes out of the game and one Andy Dalton Red Rifle comes into the game? I texted the group. I said Ravens lose.
No, bullshit.
As soon as they came, I said Ravens lose.
Hey, look,
No doubt it's Andy Dalton. We've seen this fucking script how many times?
He knows the Ravens. He knows John Harbaugh. He's played against him so many times. But look, he comes in and what happens? It takes him 2 plays to score a touchdown, and it was him and Mooney. But for everybody that's coming in going, see, that touchdown is 100% on the Ravens defense. A great example.
Wait a minute. You're not getting to the 4th down one. What you're talking about, the first one?
I'm talking about the first one.
All right.
Scream one
Save
there.
that 4th down one for later. I got you.
No, this is the 60-yarder to Mooney
Yeah.
on the second play that he's actually even in the game, and it was horrible tackling.
Yep.
You should have had Mooney down after 6 yards, and then he goes 60.
Yep. This has been the problem. This is our
How
problem.
do you fix it?
Our defense has been giving up big play after big play after big play after big play. They don't let you nickel and dime them all day long. They just give up the 20+ yarders, the 40+ yarders. It's happening. Most of it, to be honest with you, is poor communication, people being out of position, and then, like you said, bad tackling.
You had
Tackling's
2
been an
guys
issue.
in front of him, and he just does like a Lamar shimmy, and boom, they're gone. Like,
So David's asking, is Wink losing his touch? I don't think Wink is losing his touch. I just
Tackling
think
has nothing to do with it.
He has to make up for other holes.
Players got to.
He has to disguise
players gotta
holes.
do that
Yeah.
tackling shit. Tackling is on the players.
exactly.
100%.
You're at the
Sorry.
NFL level at this point. Like, if you don't know how to tackle, you shouldn't be playing at the NFL level.
I'm gonna say this. Maybe
And
this
that's
is where
never been a problem with the Ravens historically.
No gang
ever.
tackling either.
Right.
Maybe this is where David's kind of going. I don't know, but is there? I don't know how you fix it, but the way that I've said this like the past few weeks.
Bingo, Chuck. I was going to
How
say
do
in
you,
a minute.
do you fix it by, or are you too focused on trying to force the turnover?
Well, so in the beginning of the year, I used to think that because I thought it seemed like last year when Marlon Humphrey was having so much success with the punch out, you started to see other players on the team try to adopt the same type of approach. And it doesn't work for everybody, right? It's only really worked for Peanut, Charles Tillman back in the day for the Bears, and Marlon Humphrey, right? But you got all these other players that are buying into it. And at the end of last year, they gave up some big plays. And I thought in the beginning of this year that was part of our problem too, was, oh shit, here comes the defense trying to force turnovers every time instead of just wrapping the guys up and tackling them. But it's beyond that now. It's just fundamental tackling, grabbing and wrapping somebody up, form tackling that's a problem with this squad.
Why are we tackling guys or making an attempt to tackle guys chest high?
Right.
Take them out waist low. Take out the legs. That's where you go. That's how you wrap them up.
And a big part of that problem in the beginning of the year was Patrick Queen when he was playing the mic, right? He was out of position on many things. He was trying to put guys into position. He was losing track of what he was doing himself.
But now it's
taking
into the
poor
cornerbacks.
ankles. But to Patrick Queen's credit, since they moved him over to the will linebacker spot, he's played much better football. Having Josh Bynes out there has been a huge difference maker in the middle of that defense. A la like an LJ Fort, we said that was an underrated loss when he went down with the injury and who was going to replace him. So far, it's been Josh Bynes. But yeah, the tackling continues to be a problem, and that's something that needs to be addressed. Go ahead.
Did you
James.
see how they tackle at practice?
With the donut circle thing or what? Yeah.
And they don't put emphasis like they're playing a game. You see it rolling, they're like, they just jump on it. Like,
yeah. To Chuck Summers' point in the chat room, Rob Ryan is really the only difference in this defensive coaching system since we've had all these issues. Rob Ryan is the middle linebacker or the linebacker coach.
Right.
I can't say it's all on him. We're not obviously in the meetings. We're not in the practice, but it's an issue, and it falls on the coach.
Now, well, I mean, you brought up Patrick Queen. He led the team in tackles, right, in this game. Big tackle for a 6-yard loss on third down that really pushed their field goal attempt back.
Yeah.
Enough for that miss, which we're going to get to missed field goals in a little bit. But he really looks like he's doing well. It made that adjustment.
I'll tell you this, though. Besides Patrick Queen, Tyus Bowser probably had his best game. There was one game last year, the year before.
Yeah,
that
he had
was
a really
bit
good
better.
game last year.
Yeah, so one of his best games as a Raven. 2 sacks, another one that was taken off the board by a penalty. So he would have had 3 sacks in this game. He had the strip fumble that was recovered by Calais in the game. He played really, really good football. And again, this is a guy that we signed to a value kind of deal. I think it's only like a $5.5 million deal a year.
Yeah.
So to get that kind of production out of Tyus Bowser is good. So credit to him for having such a good game.
And he had the tackle on Fields. They wound up taking Fields out of the game in this game. So maybe you blame him for bringing in the Red Rocket.
Thanks a lot, Tyus.
But I will say, I thought his comments after the game.
I was going to ask you if you saw it because it was pretty good, man. It shows his character.
It shows his character. It shows the installation of what's happening with the Ravens.
Let them know what he said.
So if you didn't see it, he kind of chimed in and said, like, he started off and said, "Let me start by saying, I give credit to Justin Fields. I did not mean to hurt him. I did not mean to take him out of the game. I hope he is okay. That is not what I intended to do when I was tackling him. Just trying to stop him from get away. So I hope he's okay. And Justin, I'm reaching out to you." He basically, with the press conference, was saying, "Hey, Justin, hit me up, man."
Right.
So good on him. I think it just shows the class that he brings to the table, and the character that he just really has. The type of person.
100% agreed. Yeah, I took the same thing away from his press conference. But let's address the elephant in the room.
This is one large elephant.
Yeah. This is the play that everybody's been talking about on social media. I got involved in a pointless conversation today with somebody over this because if you're on the other side of this conversation, then we don't vibe. I will never want to hang out with you because I don't think we're going to agree on many things if we don't agree on this. But the 4th and 11 play with 1 minute and 30 seconds left in the game, you go cover 0, all out blitz. Now, if you have your gambit of players in your secondary, you've got Marcus Peters out there, Marlon Humphrey out there, Anthony Averett out there, Jimmy Smith out there.
And on that front line, if you got B. Will.
Right. You got your top level guys that are out there in the back end of the secondary. I might be okay with this play call. I might be okay with this. But you don't. You don't have Anthony Averett out there. You don't have Jamie Smith out there. You don't have Marcus Peters out there.
You know who you have? Cornerback.
3rd or 4th string at this point. You've got Chris Westry.
Who's coming off injury.
Wait.
Who all game looked like burnt toast out there. He looked awful.
Is this the same guy that this guy likes and
It's
loves?
not Chris Westry, it's Chris Donahue.
I was very high on Chris Westry. Shout out to my boy Garnett West, who was very high on him as well. I know he's in the chat room.
You were high on something.
Listen, he's dealing with a knee injury. He's not 100%, and that was clear all 4 quarters. Every time they targeted him, he looked slow. He looked like he could barely run. But you've got him. Hear me out on this. It's 4th and 11. You're not in field goal range, but a field goal gives you the lead. But you're not in field goal range. It's 4th and 11. You go cover 0 and go man coverage with the wide receivers with Chris Westry.
With no safety to help.
Lined up against a track star. Chris Godwin is a track star. And we're lining up Chris Westry, who couldn't cover me out there. And you've got a track star going against him. And all it took was a double move. And boom.
And people are saying, well, then why didn't you put Marlon on him? Well, here's the deal. Who's going to cover Mooney?
It's not even about who was on who.
That's my point. Exactly. You could have. It doesn't. To your point, it doesn't matter with the personnel that you have. There was no scheming where that made sense. Period. You couldn't have flopped Westry and Humphrey.
Know
and
your
made it work.
personnel.
Exactly.
Know who you have out there. Know the situation. Did we not forget about this?
Why do we
got to live through this?
Do we not remember this? Andy fucking Dalton to AJ Green. I remember this.
I thought it was the other one.
I remember this.
Well,
Don't show the other one.
This one was a little lucky.
We won that game.
I don't care. It's Andy Dalton. How many times have we seen Andy Dalton take our souls, take our hearts, rip them out of our chest? How many times have we seen this? Over and over again. Know the situation. And mind you, this is when we had our best of the best corners on the field back then at that time. Now, granted, it's nowhere near the secondary that we have now. But at the end of the day, nothing about that play call made sense at all. None of it. And again, you got fans out there.
Podcast or
Listen. You've got people out there who want to say, oh, the John Harbaugh situation, where he talked about this in his press conference. Harbaugh went on about this, and he tried to defend it. He tried to say that, oh, well, sometimes a quick death is better than a slow death.
The dumbest thing to ever say, by the way.
It was 4th and 11. That makes sense if it's first down, and now you're like, fuck, we just need to let them get in position to score real quick so we can get the ball back. One stop wins you that game.
Yeah.
That is bullshit. That is something you say after the fact.
Not to mention
worked out.
Not to mention in that situation, if you can at least stop them, force an incomplete, or even if you just don't let them. Your goal is they don't get past the first down marker. That's it. That's your goal. Because if you don't, you're in position. You're in good field position at that point, right? You're not putting your offense in a bad position. Here you go. You go ahead. You put them in this.
What about our offense in that game said, oh, we can drive the field and score a touchdown in 1 minute and 30 seconds? That's no problem. Nothing about our offense said we could move the ball. We hadn't scored a touchdown all game. You've got a rookie quarterback going out there against a pretty decent defense who has been eating you alive. 6 sacks already on the day. Harbaugh in his head wasn't saying, oh, yeah, let's let them score a touchdown here so that we can march right back down the field and win the game. Bullshit.
No,
I'm going to call a spade, And listen, I have not been one to like, oh, we need to fire Roman and we need to fire Wink like some fans do. But I am going to call you out when you make a piss poor decision, and Harbaugh, Wink made a piss poor decision. It was terrible.
You did. I mean, best case scenario, they don't get the first down, but they get 10 yards or they come up an inch short.
Yeah.
They were on the 49 when that happened. So it was a 49-yard pass.
Uh-huh.
You're just on the other side, right? You're in good field position. That's great punt field position.
Right.
Your goal there is simply, and honestly, to your point,
Steven, I say it, no one's perfect. I get it. And that's not my argument. My argument is to try to justify it, right? To try to justify it like, oh, yeah, a slow death is better, or a fast death is better than a slow death. You're trying to justify why you did it.
You basically
instead of just owning that we made a piss poor decision.
You basically just said
saying that shit if we lost.
Right, exactly. That's the only reason. The only reason is because we made up for it.
You're just
so happy to say it too.
This is a common thing.
You're saving face. You're saving face in this situation, and you're saying, okay, yeah, we made a bad decision, but it worked out. That's all you're doing. And to your point, even with all the personnel that we would love to have out there,
Yeah.
given the history, given what's going on, given the guy that you got back there, and the fact that your offense can't do anything.
Do I need to show the video again?
No.
Okay.
Don't do
All right,
it. Don't push that button again because I had to fix something
Drew's
once.
over there about to hang himself.
It's one of those things that even with everybody, regardless, know the situation. It's not even just know your personnel. It's know the situation. You're in a much better situation in this game. This game at that point, it's in the bag. It's in the bag if you just stop them from 11 yards.
I don't know.
Exactly.
I don't know if what you're watching. This happens all the fucking time with these our offensive coach and our defensive coach and our head coach, and you guys keep on like.
Listen,
it's not this, but this is all the fucking time. We're lucky we didn't fucking lose.
I understand. Like, this team could very easily be 3-7, just as much as they're 7-3 with all the games and things that they've had. I've told you a million times, Lamar has single-handedly won us the majority of these games. It has not been the coaching staff. There have been, to his credit, I would say, probably 3 or 4 games where I really think Greg Roman called a great offensive game.
City.
3 or 4 games. That's it. We're talking about a 10-game season so far. Yeah. 3 or 4 of them he's called a great game. But I'm not also saying that the sky is falling, if they need to fire everybody and all of that either. But I will call you out because do not justify, don't play us as stupid. It was a bad play call that just so happened to work out, and the credit goes to Tyler Huntley.
For what?
For coming back and pulling out a miracle with 1:30 left.
I agree with you.
He saved Harbaugh's ass.
But he did in that situation. But I'm gonna call out James here for a second because he talks about Tuck, right? We couldn't finish drives. If not for Tucker, we don't win this game. He scores 10 points in this game.
That's a given. Justin fucking Tucker.
Right, but mind you, here's the other thing, right? Santos missed the field goal. He missed a 40-yarder at the beginning of the game, first quarter. The field goal that Tucker hit at 46 yards that put them up 9-7 was in the fourth, kicking the same direction.
Yeah.
Kicker does make a difference for a guy that put up 141 points consecutively the past 3 years and is continuing to put up points. This game, he misses one of those field goals. This is a tie game, and this game goes to overtime.
Gotcha.
Back to the shitty defensive play for a second. I
was trying to get past it.
Back to the question at hand.
It's a different caveat to bring up because it's not to in any way defend. But
here we go.
Oweh had it off.
You're right.
For the passer.
You're right.
So I'm not. That does not excuse
but
the play.
that's a separate issue.
But my point being, it was going to be shit one way or the other. Like,
you're 100% right. You're 100% right.
You were in the muck one way or the other.
And Odafe Oweh.
And that would have really fucked things up. If it was an incomplete pass, and it was a pass interference, we would have lost the game.
And Odafe Oweh needs to learn on that, needs to eat shit. And Harbaugh gave him some shit in the press conference as much as Harbaugh can in a press conference. You're right. Absolutely. But again, don't justify it.
No, I'm not using it as justification.
Yeah. You also saw the breakdown in this that they kind of talked about was the fact that Brandon Stevens broke late on that all out.
He did. Yep.
And there was a giant hole that he should have been. He should have been through there. He just stood there, and I don't know whether he's looking for the scramble or what. Maybe he was Dalton's spy. I don't know. It just
You don't
spy Dalton on a 4th and 11.
No, that was a rookie fucking up. He should have hit the gap.
He should have hit the gap.
They were expecting him to hit the gap, and he didn't hit the gap.
But
Right.
that there's kind of so many different things here. But at the same time, again, you got to recognize, to Fred's point, what's in front of you at this point. But look, we won the game. I know it sucks that we won it the way that we did.
It doesn't suck. A win is a win. But again, we're just going to call them out
because
on
you
their
like
shit.
to see your
For
team
me,
perform.
For me,
Yeah.
on all levels.
If that game was like that, it was Lamar. That's a pitiful fucking win.
100%.
But with it being Huntley, for me, I'm like, man, you know what? A win's a win.
Well,
That's
no
what makes me-
Lamar,
for me,
no
Huntley was a
Hollywood,
win.
no
Look what happened
Anthony
with
Avery.
Miami. You had Lamar in Miami, like made you look like goddamn JV football. So
Right. No, you're absolutely right.
But look, the schedule, it's not easy for the rest of the season.
Oh, no. We're through the cush part of the schedule. That's
I mean,
for sure.
we've got, what, 5 division games left?
Yeah,
We've
5
got
out of the last 7 games of the year, all division games.
Browns in week 12, Steelers week 13. Then we go to Cleveland. So we were at
No.
the Steelers and at the Browns.
At the Browns, home against the Browns, at the Steelers, away
Browns.
against the Browns, home against the Packers, which that's never going to be an easy game.
No.
You got home against the Bengals, which we already saw what
No,
the Bengals
it's
did
away-
to us
it's away
earlier.
at the Bengals.
At the Bengals. We
No, they
saw what
kicked
they
our
did.
ass here.
Yeah, we saw what they did to us here. Then you got the Rams, who at the beginning of the year, if you would have asked me 100%, that was one of the losses that we're taking. The
They've
Rams
had some struggles
The Rams
recently.
have struggled a little bit recently, but they've got 4 or 5 weeks to figure it out
Yeah.
before they come in here. And then the last game to close out the year against the Steelers. So in order for the Ravens to feel good about going in the playoffs here, I think in 7 games, they need to at worst be 4-3 in this stretch. They got to be 11-6 to get into the playoffs, I think, just the way things are shaking out in the AFC. But I'm hopeful for a 5-2 run through this. Hopeful.
It would be nice, but we got to take one game at a time. And the first game is Sunday night at the bank. It's gonna be rocking. The Ravens. Let's jump into that first.
Yeah, for sure.
The Ravens made some announcements of some things that they're going to be doing to get the bank rocking on Sunday night.
So
I
if
want to be
you're
there.
if you're not going, get there. Figure out a way to get some tickets. They're doing a bunch of different things. So the last home game, the last primetime game, the whole pregame ceremonies, the videos they played, some of the lighting things that they did were really, really cool. If you've never been a part of a night game, primetime game, now is the time to do it because they're really involving the fans more. What they're doing for this game is everybody's getting kind of like a fiber optic bracelet that is going to coincide with music and themes that they're playing in the stadium, where they're going to turn the lights out and have different things going, colors and shit through the fans. It's going to look really, really cool. They're also, for you Oriole fans out there, apparently are going to be recognizing Cedric Mullins and Ryan Mountcastle at the stadium. So that'll be cool for you Oriole fans out there.
So you're taking the limo down with your son.
Exactly.
He's gonna be
I'll
on
be
the
there
field.
first
He'll be on
class.
the
He'll
field.
get the little square like Mahomes' brother guy.
Yeah, I'll post
He'll
I'll
get
post
the
a
right
TikTok
spot.
about it, make sure. But yeah, so it'll be a lot of fun. Again, if you've never done a primetime game, you can afford to get out there, make it happen. I'll be in Lot H like I am every week down there tailgating. If you want to stop by and say hi, open invitation to anybody that wants to come and say hi. I'll be right underneath the 95 underpass. It'll be a good time.
Definitely going to be exciting. But look, it's going to be an interesting game too. The Ravens are opening up as 4-point favorites at home, which is good. But look, the Browns, they've had some struggles here recently. There's questions about is Baker going to be there any longer than this year because of some of the struggles that have been there? You have the fact that they have some injuries, right? Chubb is back. Hunt could be out.
Could be back. Yeah,
Or could be back, I'm sorry.
he's been out, so they're saying that Hunt could be ready for this week. Nick Chubb in himself is going to be a problem. We've already seen Nick Chubb historically run laps
All over
around
us.
our defense. Was he the... No, that was Derrick Henry. Who was the one that stiff-armed fucking Earl Thomas? Was that Chubb or was that Derrick Henry? The one that made Earl Thomas look like
that
an
was
idiot.
Henry, I think, wasn't it?
Was it
in the
Henry?
playoff
Okay,
game?
I can't remember
Yeah, 'cause
who
he
it
got
was.
himself all turned around.
That's
Yeah.
right. That's what it was. But still, Nick Chubb ran for like 954 yards against us or something stupid.
Yeah.
So yeah, the Browns are still going to be problematic. Again, our run defense surprisingly has been pretty good the last couple of weeks without Brandon Williams, which Brandon Williams, his specialty was against the run.
But you haven't been going against teams that have been strong with the run like some of these teams are.
I mean, if you ask Ryan, David Montgomery is the second coming, and we didn't do a whole lot against us, right? You know, and granted, some of the bigger backs, obviously Jonathan Taylor, who is probably, like Drew said in our group chat, he is one of one draft pick next year for most fantasy drafts, probably.
I'm glad we faced him in week 5 because
Yeah.
he went off. It was really like that really big long pass
Right.
that kind of blows everything up. I mean, he had a good game. It wasn't just that. But God, what he's doing now, I'm glad we don't have to face the Colts anymore.
Exactly. But Nick Chubb can put up that kind of a game himself. He can do those kind of things. You get a guy like Kareem Hunt, who again is another very elite back, could be an RB1 on a lot of teams in the NFL.
Even if he isn't, Dearness Johnson looks good.
Right, exactly. They've got to, and listen, the Cleveland Browns offensive line has been a problem for years. They are not a problem anymore. They are a
signing their
very,
guys
very
extensions.
good offensive line. It hasn't helped Baker Mayfield out. To your point, Baker Mayfield has played complete shit, and he's been hurt a lot this year.
It doesn't help that his wide receivers haven't helped. OBJ and the drama, he's now gone. But Jarvis Landry has had some big drops in situations. He's a shade of his former self as it's been here as of here recent. So there's a lot of different factors here, which those things, when those were happening, those opened up that run game for Hunt and Chubb.
Right.
So without those, maybe we can sell out a little bit more on stopping the run and putting the pressure on Baker. The thing is you're damned if you do, you're damned if you don't with Baker, because you want to get to him. You want to try to get to him quick, but Baker almost hurts himself the longer you give him to make a decision.
Right.
The worse decision he makes.
Right.
So it's kind of like you want to almost only just rush 4 all game, let him make it, and let him throw into coverage and get the interceptions all day long. Right? I mean, it's you're damned if you do, you're damned if you don't.
Right. Well, listen, on the other side of the ball for the Browns, things don't get any easier. We just had a whole lot of problems with Quinn up in Chicago.
And Roquan Smith, by the way.
We had some problems with Roquan Smith. We had countless problems in Las Vegas against those two guys. Crosby and Yannick. Well, this tandem might be the best tandem in the league with Myles Garrett and Jadeveon Clowney coming to town. That scares me. So it is uber important for Lamar's health to get better and get better quickly, because as good as a game that Tyler Huntley had in Chicago, I don't like his chances at home against that kind of a defense. We need Lamar out there. I mean, listen, I know we talked in the preseason about Huntley's ability to scramble and how he kind of mimics Lamar and he looks very similar. It's a stark difference, again, in what Lamar brings as a runner. It's not just straight line speed. Yes, Lamar's fast, but he's not a 4.2, 4.3 guy. His stop and go, his anticipation, his vision is what separates him from any other mobile quarterback. And you're going to need that. His ability to feel pressure, his ability to get away from pressure, extend plays. He makes this offensive line better because he's that guy. So it's super important for Lamar to be back this week.
So one of the things since week 3 for the Browns, right? You have to look at what they've been able to do defensively. Since week 3, they have only given up more than 20 points 3 times. Right. Chargers, Cardinals, Patriots.
Yep.
Think about those offenses. Now the Chargers were earlier, right? That was week 4 before they've kind of had their little bit of a debacle.
Right.
But at the same time, when you take a step back and you look at that and you're stopping teams, look at what the Bengals did to us, right? They were able to stop them, put only 16 points up. The Browns were able to they lost to the Steelers, but the Steelers only put up 15 points, right?
Right. Tristan, that was like one time. It was back in college. There's some questions about the validity of that. To me, he doesn't look like a 4.3 guy running in a straight line, but either way, he's fast.
Yeah. But anyway, my whole point in bringing that up was to your point with Myles Garrett and Jadeveon Clowney. They buy, their secondary has been, pretty decent this year for the most part of the year, especially considering some of the competition they've gone up against. But when they put the pressure on, when those two guys put the pressure on and they start rushing, that's where they can start limiting people from scoring. They've got a lot of sacks between the two of them. They are the leaders. It's something that you have to look at and you have to prepare for. You've got to know, how are we going to handle both of these guys with this hodgepodge of an offensive line that we've had?
Yeah, I think getting a guy like Ben Cleveland back, it will help. Again, right now, I don't trust Villanueva against either one of those guys on the end. I obviously trust him more on the left side than I did him at the right side, because the right side, he looked awful. But it's going to be a problem. And again, Lamar's going to have to be on his game. He's going to have to be mobile. You're going to have to expect a lot of yardage out of his legs in this game, which obviously we've seen a lot this year anyway, but we're going to need it, especially in this game, if the Ravens want to have a chance to win.
Yeah. All right, well, let's get into some prime time predictions, people.
All right, man, let's do it.
So let's start with Turkey Day, right? It's not the Ravens play on Sunday. We're going to start on Turkey Day with the 12 o'clock game, the traditional game with the Lions always finding a way, no matter how much they freaking lose, 9-1. They're still playing. They're taking on the Bears. The Bears are 3-7 as we handed them their seventh loss on the season. Not a very exciting game. I'll start this one off. I think based off what we've seen out of the Bears, I think they're going to really limit the Lions and what they can do. I really do not see the Lions putting up a ton of points. I think Drew is the only one that's got a score that's different, so we'll kind of go there. But for me, Bears are going to win this. Andy Dalton's going to lead them. I think Fields is sitting, whether he's healthy or not, 27-10 in favor of the Bears. What do you got this, Fred?
All right, so this game for me, I don't see Justin Fields playing this week. I think it's going to be Andy Dalton. They've already kind of alluded to that as it is. I like Andy Dalton in this offense better. The Lions have played the AFC North pretty tough. They've given a tough matchup to everybody in the AFC North, including us. But they're still 0-9-1, right? And it's still the Lions. They don't even have Jared Goff out there. I don't even know the guy's name that's out there anymore.
Boyle.
Boyle, whatever. Nick Boyle is apparently quarterback now. I have no idea. Whoever the quarterback is down there, he's going to lose. And I think the Bears will win this one pretty handedly. I've got them winning 24-17.
Oh, more points than I do.
Yeah, 24-17 in a kind of shitty game. Drew, what do you got?
Shitty game. We'll reference my score. I do have the Lions pulling it off because the Bears that literally are firing a coach, but he's coaching the game.
Right.
Well, that's the rumor. This is his last game. I mean, let's go with that's true. Let's just go with that's true. You're firing a guy. No, but you gotta go coach this game on Thanksgiving.
Is it a prove it game for him though?
No, he proves shit. He sucks.
Like if you
They
learn,
know he sucks.
It's one of those, dude. If you win this game, we'll keep you week to week.
People are chaining fire his ass at Bulls games, at high school games. That was a little fucked up, by the way, for all them fans that did that. Yeah. Anyway, reel it back in. It's a dead duck in the water. Yeah, it's Dalton and it's Boyle. So, but Lions 14-5.
He's going to safety in this game.
14-5. I like it.
Because Boyle's going to run out of the back of the end zone like Olaski back in the day.
God. That's the only thing that guy's known for. James, what do you got happening in this game?
All right, I just want to start off. I'm now adult now.
Here we go.
Adult now, so I do the Thanksgiving over at my house. So this is when I
thought you
start.
were going somewhere else.
I thought it was too.
This is where I start prepping my food to get ready to have my family over. Because my favorite holiday is Thanksgiving. I love Thanksgiving.
Me too.
Christmas is good, but
I'm fat. Of course I like Thanksgiving.
He's got a deck that can handle his whole family.
Yeah.
Wow, that was a shot at yourself. I like it, Scott.
I might as well. If everybody's going to get on board, why not?
So I'm sorry. We're going to talk about this more, but this is a game where it needs to be flexed out. I'm sorry. When the Lions start fucking winning, they can have a Thanksgiving game back, all right? They need to replace them and say, hey, you're so fucking bad. You don't deserve to be on TV until you start fucking winning.
Yeah.
I'm tired of this fucking game. This is where I start prepping my food. I don't care who wins this game, what happens, because I'm getting ready for my family to come over, getting the food ready. So right now, I just have this game. I'm hoping the Bears win 27-21. I'm done with the Lions, and it's time for... It's time for the NFL to step in and say, hey, Lions, you're awful. You don't compete. You don't do anything. we're going to put you on the side burner because any other time we can watch shitty-ass games on TV on Thursday night. We don't need to watch it on Thanksgiving.
I got you. All right.
All right, what's Ryan got this game?
So Ryan has got this game. Let's see. I can barely see. 20-17 Bears. So it sounds like Drew is the only one on the Lions in this game.
Drew's the lone wolf smoking a lot of crack
Call
over
the
there.
safety. I'm calling it. If I get a safety this game, you'll call suck it. That's all.
If he gets a safety this game, I think he gets an honorary pick to quit.
If we get a safety, I'm trumpeting that shit next week.
I agree.
Watch
right.
be a safety for the Lions.
Let's move on to the midday Turkey Day game. Thursday afternoon, 4:30 kickoff. Las Vegas Raiders, 5-5, going into Dallas to take on the reeling Dallas Cowboys. 7-3, record still good. Dak Prescott hasn't looked the same since he's come back from his injury these last couple of weeks. He had a really bad game this past week. And obviously, they've got wide receiver issues there. They're not going to have Amari Cooper again. He's still dealing with the COVID issues. CeeDee Lamb hasn't been cleared to come back for this week. He was dealing with a concussion issue from last game. So their wide receiver core, as good as it was going into this year, is a little bit depleted. Ezekiel Elliott rolled his ankle last week. He did come back and end up finishing, but it wasn't pretty. I don't know how healthy he's going to be, but I've got right now the Cowboys winning this game in a close one, 31-27. The Raiders just have not been the same team since the whole Ruggs situation, and I think the Dallas Cowboys will do enough to win this game. Drew, what do you got?
I got Cowboys 35-28. I think it's going to be the MVP of the game is going to be Dalton Schultz.
Okay.
Now.
Tight end. Is he on your fantasy team?
Yeah.
No wonder.
But because you're not going to have your top two wide receivers.
Yeah, I agree.
And he is sneakily top of fantasy. He is one of like the better tight ends all year long. If you don't have those Waller, Andrews, and Kelsey.
Right. Love that Andrews was the hell of Kelsey on that list.
Yeah. Hey. I give the edge to the Cowboys because obviously they're always the home team on Thanksgiving, but that's why I give them the edge. If this was any other game, if they're the home team, I'm giving them the edge.
Okay, I like it. James, what do you got happening in this game?
Well, I don't know about these Cowboys. Either they'll be hot or cold, or in the Vegas with all their shit going on. I have it could be a good game, 37-31. I'm hoping that some points are showed out because this is where I'm going to be eating my dinner. So, this Cowboy games are normally good games. So I think it'll be pretty close. So I have it, like I said, 37-31.
All right, Scott, what do you got?
I got to be a Cowboys win. I think this is handed, without a problem. To your point, the Raiders are just they look good to start the season. They've just really fallen off between the Gruden, the Ruggs, everything. I think Derek Carr thought he was a leader in the locker room, and he lost a lot of respect from some guys. So I just don't see them being able to pull this out. I got this being a Cowboys win, 30-21.
Now, the only one that's not here to defend himself that went with the Raiders in this was Ryan. He's got the Raiders winning this game 24-20.
In AT&T Stadium, I don't see it.
Yeah,
I'm sorry.
I don't either.
Maybe if they're at home.
Thursday night game, the nightcap, when we're all like in our food comas, passed out on the couch.
Now, see, if you're gonna put a
Or
Lions
if you're
game,
James round two.
if you're gonna put a Lions game on, this is where you put it because this is where everybody's just in that coma state or driving home and nobody's caring as much,
right?
Or too drunk.
This game's got a little bit of draw to it. You got the Buffalo Bills at 6-4 now, going into New Orleans to take on the 5-5 Saints. Both teams not really living up to the expectations and the hype of the early season projections. I think a lot of people expected the Saints to still roll with Alvin Kamara, even Jameis Winston out there. A lot of people thought, especially with their defense, that they would play a lot better football than they have. But the Bills were at the top of the AFC North, the top-rated team in the NFL just a few short weeks ago. I saw some highlights yesterday or some news headlines yesterday, people saying that the Bills might not even make the playoffs now with the way that they're playing. They have absolutely zero run game. Teams are really honing in on the pass game against them. Josh Allen has kind of reverted back to some of his bad habits. He doesn't look the same Josh Allen that he looked for the last year and a half. But I still don't think that matters in this game. I still think the Bills will do enough to get it figured out. I still believe Josh Allen is one of the more dynamic quarterbacks in the league. He will get it done. He'll do enough. He'll beat the Saints 30-24.
Buffalo Chuck, says Buffalo Bills win 34-20. We know that you would pick them. But for me, I've got this being a Bills a handed win here again. I think the Saints have had too many struggles. I think the news that we're going to get into later is going to play way too big of a role. It's going to be all over the simulcast, and it's just going to not be worth it. I think the Bills are going to find a way. They recognize that if they keep going the way that they are, they could be out of the playoff situation. So I think
Crazy
this is where
to
they
think
start.
that.
I think this is where they start turning it around. So I see them winning this one 28-19. Ryan also has this not a very, very high scoring game. He's got the Bills winning 20-13 in this game.
James, what do you got?
I have the Bills winning 24-19. Again, this is a game the Bills have to win. I don't know with the Saints with paying Hill a ridiculous contract, which I don't get why they're even wasting fucking money on that.
We'll talk
dude.
about it.
Yeah.
Yeah, they need to win. I guess they didn't call the Ravens for a running back because, they're stacked over there, like Fred said. So
They gave us one in Latavius Murray.
24-19. I'm talking about the Bills.
Oh, the Bills. Gotcha. Go ahead, Drew. What do you got?
Yeah, clean sweep. Bills 23-16. These are two of the better defenses in the league. So that's why I wouldn't think it would be a huge high-scoring game, which nowadays 23-16 is like a kind of average score almost.
Yeah. It's funny how a lot of their scores have dropped from what they were at the beginning of the year. It's crazy.
Kamara is probably not playing this game again.
Yep.
And, I mean, that's their biggest weapon.
That's a backbreaker for them.
It really is, and it's proven it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, it just really is. It's going to be Hills. It's going to be Simeon. It almost doesn't matter. Like, they'd have to be that stout defense for the Saints. Like I said, these are two of the better defenses. It almost have to be like they are getting turnovers left and right.
Right.
They get 3 early turnovers, then that could be a whole different ball game. But I think Bills got it.
Good call, Googs. Saints actually gave up 2 because Freeman was down in New Orleans as well.
That's right.
So they
that's
gave up
right.
2
Good
guys.
point, Googs.
So
All right, Sunday night.
the one that everybody came here to listen to. Who gives a shit about those other games? It's time
Sunday
for the
night
Ravens.
football. We got the Browns coming into the bank to take on, hopefully, Lamar Jackson and the Baltimore Ravens. Again, this is going to be a game where the Ravens are going to be tested on the offensive line. They're probably going to fail on the offensive line with the amount of talent that they have on the defensive line. But, again, the Browns are reeling. They have a couple of really good running backs, and if they get Kareem Hunt back, that's impactful. So it's really going to come down to, can the Ravens limit the big plays against the run in this game? I don't think Baker Mayfield's going to go out there and throw for 300 or 400 yards like some quarterbacks. He's hurt. He really shouldn't be out there. I honestly think Case Keenum at this point gives them a better opportunity to win. We may even see Case Keenum come in this game, second half of this game type thing, especially if it's close. If it's close and Baker's wincing and wanging and he took a hit or this, that, and the other thing, and they feel like they can pull a win out, you might see Case Keenum come in this game in the second half. But I don't think it happens. I think the Ravens do enough. It's going to be a close game, just like an AFC North game would be. It took Lamar coming off the shitter to win the game in Cleveland 2 years ago, right? So I think the Ravens win this game 27-23, and hopefully Lamar Jackson's not on the shitter in this game.
A lot of people chiming in and saying the Ravens, and really in this room, we're all on the same boat.
See what you did there.
We'll get to that in a second. We also all have it 1-score game. I think we all agree it usually is a nail biter-esque type game. Anytime we're playing the Browns here lately,
right.
So I think it still will be, but I do see them pulling it out. It will come down to Lamar having a fourth quarter touchdown like we've been seeing, but they're going to win this game 24-17 in my book. James, what do you got?
Well, this was a hard one for me because you guys talk about Baker, he might be banged up and he can't throw and all that. Last time I checked, they don't throw the ball. They just give it to Chubbs, and he just runs his shit all over the fucking Ravens. So I don't care about Baker or Keating. Those two fucking guys in the backfield could do some damage. And I picked the Ravens, and I have it kind of close because I'm being generous because it's Thanksgiving. But Lamar coming back from being sick, I know when I'm sick, I come back. I'm not 100%. I don't feel good. My muscles are still sore. I think he's going to get beat up. I don't even think he plays this game, but I feel the Ravens can pull it out 21-17 because you're going to have all the electric stardust, as Fred's saying, at the game. And hopefully everybody's got that
It's going to be a Disney kind of night.
But, yeah, there's going to be a Pixar movie down there filming. I just hope the Ravens win. That defense on Cleveland just worries me about, getting to.
That's a fair point. All fair points. What do you got, Drew?
Ravens. It was actually kind of a tough one for me, but I think it is one of those where you give the home team the edge. So I got Ravens 33-28. But if it isn't Lamar, then that's a bad prediction.
Right.
It's just in general, but it's just something like it seems like I almost have visions of if it is Lamar and he's fine and he isn't like a complete shell. It's almost visions of that game from the Monday night game last year.
Yeah.
Just you got that visions all over again. Like this could be another electric game.
Well, you got Garnett out there. A lot of people are saying Ravens, but you got Garnett chiming in saying 28-24 Browns.
Point being, everybody's got this a pretty close game.
It is. But the resident who can't defend himself again, in Ryan, is going Browns in this game by 7, 27-20.
Bro, Lamar isn't playing.
All I'm going to tell you is Ryan's got the worst record of all of us in this.
No, that's me.
Oh, is it? Oh, I'm sorry.
No. It's Ryan. Ryan's 24-15.
Oh, never mind.
Drew
Suck
is
it.
25-14.
Decent last couple weeks have been pretty good.
Drew is 25-14. Fred and myself are 26-13. But as much crap as we give him,
The man.
James is 29-10. He's got
Started
us by
from the
3.
bottom, now I'm here.
Yeah.
Started from
He's
the
doing
bottom.
good until that Maryland gambling fully kicks in and then he turns to the shitter.
So he's got us. Now the last one I will give a little bit of a preview that this is where Fred and I could either make up one or lose one.
Here comes a sleeper game.
So here's the game. Here's the game Monday
I'm
night.
not watching this game.
Monday
That's why
night,
Peyton's not
8:15. You've got the 3-7 Seahawks coming into Washington, who's 4-6 by some miracle. The past few weeks they've been
That's
able
sad
to.
that it takes a miracle to be 4-6.
I don't know, but it worked. Whatever. So let's start with James. Who are you going with in this game?
I have this game going to Seattle. I think Russell breaks out finally.
I like it, Garnett.
I have Seattle winning 41-27. The only reason why
Woo,
is,
that's a high-scoring game.
Yeah, Washington's not that great. Their defense isn't something. Wilson needs to have a game to say, hey,
I'm back, bitches.
I'm back. So if anybody wants to pick me up next year or put me on your team, this is why. And
I see him in a Steeler uniform.
my son, he loves the fucking Seahawks, and when they lose, he's fucking awful the next day. So I just hope they fucking win because I can't deal with another morning with him waking up.
Fair enough. Drew, what do you got happening in this game?
It's a great line right there. WFT 24-14. I don't think I think he came back too soon with the finger, Russell.
Yeah.
With the broken finger, and that defense has actually been playing pretty good. I mean, look what they beat Brady. They got some turnovers against Brady. They had a long ass possession. Yeah, that helped. You know what I mean? It shows you that Heineke's clicking. It's not like you know what I mean. He's not like a backup quarterback anymore. He's the quarterback.
Right.
Yeah.
I got you. I mean, listen, Heineke has been more than impressive to me for the lack of experience that he has. He's stepped up and he's played well. Washington football team obviously lose their star defender in Chase Young. He's now out for the year with an ACL. I really like Chase Young. I like him as a person. I like him as a competitor. He just seems like the ultimate teammate, what you would want on your team. But here's the thing. To your point, Russell Wilson has not been the same since coming back, and I still think that finger is bothering him.
No run game.
You got DK Metcalf out there sucking on ninnies. He just doesn't look like himself. I don't think this offense is doing anything. Chris Carson is an underrated loss for them. They haven't been able to get anything going in the running game. I think the Washington football team will somehow figure out a way to win this ugly game, and they'll win 23-19.
You and I are along the same lines because I was thinking all the same things. Heineke is the guy that is making things happen right now. And, you talk about this defense, but this defense hasn't let up outside of the first, I think, 3 games. They haven't let anybody score more than 30 points on them. In this day and age with quarterbacks, it's pretty decent, but they've been able to hold that. I think they continue that. that. I continue to think they just barely pull it out. 23-20. I'm gonna one up you.
Price is right.
Price is right.
Or whatever
$1,
it is. Wheel
Bob.
of Fortune. Price is
Everybody
right.
said everybody says their scores to one person.
Mine actually were in before his. I will say that.
All right.
So
And Ryan, to round this out, goes Seahawks. So we got
He's got-
3 on Washington, 2 on the Seahawks. He's got them winning 27.
Ryan either makes up like a lot of ground or completely bottoms out.
Right, 27-20.
let's go to social media shout out.
All right, James, it's time for a social media shout out. I've seen a lot of people in the chat room. This one's sponsored by Liquor Stop. Who's been out there chiming it up?
Everybody. That's what I'm going to say. Everybody's been in the chat room and chatting it up. I'm glad. Happy Thanksgiving to everybody.
Yeah.
So let's get off with Dave. We got Chuck, Steven, Garnett. And Dave was the first to chime in. I'm sorry. I have to get that out of the way. Garnett, Stevens, Samuel, Joe Carlozo, Joe Shipley, Kamar, Flock Nation, John, Sharon Sherry, Living Legend, Audit, John Guggs.
John Googs.
Googs.
You got
Googs.
it.
Nice seeing you at the game.
Yeah, man.
Zach Brown, William Diggs,
Zach
98.
Brown in the house.
Yeah, 9876.
This is bad with
Christian, Alex.
Knee
Can I
deep
get a little
in the
bit of
water
chicken fried?
somewhere.
So, it's been great. They've been chatting it up. Love the comments. Keep it coming. And like I said, back to the show.
All right. Well,
right, man.
look, as you said, this one's sponsored.
Oh, damn windows.
going so
That's all it
fucking
was.
good.
It had to have been.
Had to have been windows.
We're giving the social media back out. Another shout out.
Multiple shout outs.
you
We
weren't
love you
listening, Dave
so
was the first one
much.
to comment.
We had to do
Windows
this
decided to
again.
give
The
another
in-
updates to us.
The in, the out, it's all we do. But as we said,
Just in case you missed it the first time.
yeah, this one is presented by Liquor Stop. This one is their Oktoberfest. It's from Left Hand Brewing Company. We have actually had this one before. This is their Marzen Lager. As they say, it's from our hand to yours, so the Thanksgiving kind of theory behind it. It's also the reason that he gave it to us this week. It's toasted, biscuity malt balanced by spicy noble hops with a clean lager finish. You've opened your second one over there, so I know that you've got to be liking it at 6.6.
I'll be honest with you. Like, I don't remember having this. This might have been one of the episodes that I was
I
out.
think you were out.
Okay, so that makes sense. I actually enjoy this, and I'm not much of an Oktoberfest fan. I don't like all the pumpkin flavored bullshit, the pumpkin spice fucking cereal. I mean, everything you walk down an aisle at this time of year, everything is pumpkin spice. I don't usually like the Oktoberfest
Now it's switching over
beers.
to peppermint.
And I'm a big Sam Adams guy, right? I like pretty much every Sam Adams, and I'm not a fan of the Oktoberfest. This one is actually pretty decent. I mean, it's smooth. It doesn't leave.
It's not overly hoppy.
It doesn't leave a bad aftertaste, and it's 6.6 alcohol. I mean, it's good alcohol content, so a couple of these beers will get you a little nice buzz.
And Dave says it's November.
Yeah, I know.
But it's November,
it is
yes.
November.
But
they
he-
must be running some kind of special in this, then, Scott.
Yeah, but no, he said that it was because of the fact that it had the biscuits and thinking about Thanksgiving and having a biscuit with your
Yeah.
meal kind of thing. So it pairs well, so to speak, is what they were looking at. So make sure you head to 1510 Conowingo Road. Let them know that Birdland BS sent you. Get your 10% off.
All right, fellas, it's time for some, I can't even believe I'm saying this, some bros, bows, and O's. What?
I can't
What
believe
are we
you're
even
saying
doing right now? What year is this?
I can't believe you're saying it either, for the simple fact that we said last week that we weren't gonna do this anymore, and here we go again, that we're pulling it up and making it work.
Right.
Biggest news, quote unquote. And Drew, I'll kind of let you dive into this one, even though there's no diving needed. Trey Mancini, he's comeback player of the year.
I mean, when you beat cancer's ass and you play 147 games, I don't give a shit what you do on the field, and he still had a pretty good game.
I'm pretty sure Alex Cora quoted it or named him the first game of the year.
First game of the year. Yeah, comeback player. You don't need to say anything else. The guy, like I said, the guy beat cancer. He even during the season, he had his down times. You've heard it in some of the videos that you've seen. I know, like one guy specifically said, Mullins, like even when he was down, like, you could tell like he still was upbeat.
Yeah.
So, like, yeah, he had those dips. I mean, he was really good in May and June. It seemed like it kind of took its toll on him a little bit, but it doesn't fucking matter. There's no one else that you could give that award to.
There's few times. Oh, my God.
Oh, my God.
Hey, guys.
That's on me.
3 times the charm.
Did you press that?
No.
right.
I don't know what is happening right now. Is there a way to turn that off?
I turned it off, so I don't know what the hell's going on, but we're going to have to figure
We're
it out
just
later.
loving the social media.
Yeah, I can't wait to see it a fifth time.
No more cam changes. We're just going to stay on this cam for the rest of the night. But what else? There's been a couple of times in recent memory, too, where there's just been absolute layups for comeback player of the year. Obviously, in the NFL, Alex Smith was an absolute layup. Trey Mancini was the layup of the year. And regardless statistically of what he did or was going to do, he was going to be the comeback player of the year just by getting back out there and playing baseball again. But listen, he didn't have just a pedestrian year. I mean, he was still a force in the middle of that lineup for them, and I think he's going to get better. Obviously, he probably dealt with a lot of fatigue. None of us in this room can kind of relate to going through that or have any idea, but I can only imagine the amount of just pure strength it took to day in and day out and go out there. 162 games a year is tough for any player to do normally, but to do that coming back from all those chemo treatments and that kind of thing just goes to speak to how good of shape that this guy's in, that keeps himself in mentally and physically.
Mentally. You took it for mentally.
I think it's fixed, by the way.
To not think that, this is like,
I don't trust it,
weigh on your head
I
that
do.
it could come back.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like, that would be any cancer survivor that has to weigh on their mind anyway.
All
And
right.
then you take it the fact, like, having to play baseball on top of it.
Try this.
Well,
try this.
the reason that I wanted to talk Orioles, obviously Trey Mancini, that goes without question. But the other part was Rule 5 draft protections went into place the other day, right? So the way that the Rule 5 draft works, and correct me if I'm wrong on this, is you have to finalize your 40-man roster, and of those 40 men, they are all protected. No other team can pluck them from your roster. Outside of that 40-man, everybody is free game, and the way it works is if a team is to claim a player from your team in the Rule 5 draft, or a team is to claim a player, they have to keep them on the roster for the entire season in order for them to count and stay with that team.
And to explain
correct?
explain the Rule 5 side of things too, is what it comes down to is when you draft a player, there's kind of a clock that kind of starts. These guys can't just sit in your system forever, right? Because then you get people that just start them and they're paying these guys to do it until they're ready to bring them up, right? And you can have some of these guys in your system for a long period of time, especially guys that are later round draft picks, like some of these guys, not all of them. But it's at some point you have to bring them up to the major league level or get them experience. Otherwise, it's up to some other team, and at that point, yes, that team has to keep them on their roster.
Okay, so when you're looking at 40-man, right, you obviously, all your 25-man active roster players are already occupying 25 spots on that 40-man roster, so you've got 15 other spots that you've got to fill in, right? I would imagine most teams probably have most of their top draft prospects protected and a good portion of their talent at the double and triple A protected in that 40-man.
Most teams are only going to put like 3 guys in this situation where they're not going to be able to be plucked from another team. Right. They don't have that many to deal with. It's 2, maybe 3.
Right.
And it's worked out for us on both ends because we've had guys that we've kind of said, okay, we don't care if somebody plucks them and nothing becomes of them. We've never heard of them. Right. But then on the flip side of that, we've also benefited from the Rule 5 drafts. We've seen that.
Yeah.
Anthony Santander, prime example here recently, that was a Rule 5 guy that comes down.
So was Ryan Flaherty back in the day.
Yeah.
Go ahead, Drew.
And add a benefit, hopefully I'm not getting it wrong, because they don't like Rutschman and Rodriguez won't be going to 40-man, but they're not eligible to be drafted. They're not up for Rule 5 eligibility after like 2 years, I think it takes.
Okay.
So if for fans, you'll see that if you go into the roster of players and you'll see the yes next to the 40-man of guys that are on the 40-man. You might not see it on the ad league. Don't freak out that
He's
God,
not protected.
They're not that one. That's never going to happen anyway. And 2, I think he has one more year, like him and like a Grayson, Gunner, guys like that. they're not going to be on the 40-man because you're not wasting a spot anyway because they still have 2 years of that eligibility.
it's
And the
like
way
3 or
that
4
that
years
works,
total.
just so I'm clear, that's on all draft picks. So all
Yes.
draft picks are
Yes.
protected for the first 2 years that they're in.
Yeah,
the
because
system.
when you're drafting, it's supposed to be it's so that you can't just draft somebody and drop them just to block them from some other team type thing.
I got you.
So there's a lot of
and you might have a guy like Adley. He's going to be your starting catcher
right
next year or the year after. You know he's going to be on the 40-man. You're not going to waste a spot yet.
Well, let's go down the list. We're not going to name everybody that was, on the 40-man roster and all that, and
No.
the players that aren't. But I just wanted
That
to
changes daily.
point out some key players that were protected and a couple of key players that weren't protected. And I wanted to get both of your takes on these guys.
Yeah.
That obviously the top name of the group that was protected that I thought was pretty much a no-brainer, left-handed pitcher DL Hall. 23 years old. He's their number 3 overall prospect. Give me a hell yeah. Absolutely. That's a hell yeah. He's an MLB top 100 prospect, pitched very well for Bowie. He obviously had an injury that put him out for the rest of the year. But again,
He's throwing again.
uber talent. He's throwing. I saw that the other day playing catch. Left-handed pitcher. You're not going to go anywhere. So that's a layup there as a protection, correct?
yeah,
Had
no,
to.
you had to. You had to keep him.
A guy that you and I were high on this
to.
past year,
Have to
right-handed
put this guy
pitcher
on.
Kyle Bradis, 25 years old. He was involved in the Bundy trade. Yeah,
Careful hitting buttons.
dominated. You're right. Dominated at the Double-A level last year. Pitched okay at Triple-A when he came up.
He had a rough start to the, but
Yeah.
he finished off the year pretty strong.
Right. Could be part of the MLB rotation next season, maybe mid-year, just depending on how they address the rotation and free agency and that kind of thing, and how obviously he does. So that was, for me, number 2, my layup of a protection, correct?
Yeah. Oh yeah, 100%. This is a guy that he made his way through the system quickly and looked
The
good.
next 2 on the list are layups for me too.
Okay.
Yeah, I'll say that. I'll agree with that. The next 2 are 100% layups.
All right, so the next one, infielder Terran Vavra, 24 years old. He was in the Givens trade to the Rockies last year.
Guy can play anywhere you want him to.
Yeah, he's a utility type player, and that brings a lot of value, especially in a Rule 5 draft. You don't typically, unless they're uber talented, you don't see them draft guys for a Rule 5 with potential when you have to carry him on the MLB roster the entire year if he's limited or pigeonholed to first base or to left field or right field, a corner outfield spot. Guys that have the versatility, like I said, Ryan Flaherty, he was
Steve
a guy
Pearce.
guys that have that versatility or guys that are going to be attractive. And Terran Vavra, to me, I think that's why they protected him, is he brings that value for somebody else to want to pick him.
100%. He's a guy that you could, like we said, you can play him anywhere. You can play infield. He can play outfield. They've tested him in the outfield and it works. So you can definitely do that.
Now, I know you said the next guy was also a layup, Kevin Smith,
yeah.
another left-handed pitcher, 24 years old. He was in the Mets trade for Castro, right?
Like, just think of what you just said right there. Kevin Smith and Vavra came for deals that, like, you just did. All right, well, we just got to let's get what we get for this guy.
Right.
I mean, Gibbons a little more than Castro, but the fact that, like, you have a guy that, like, notable for being on your 40-man and being a decent prospect for a guy that would never have fucking panned out anyway.
Right.
So,
yeah, that makes sense. So the other guy, now this one was a guy that kind of came out of nowhere towards the end of the year last year. Didn't even know who this guy was. And then all of a sudden, when you looked at his numbers, when we were doing some of the down on the minors updates or whatever, this was a name that was like, who the hell is this guy? But he jumped off the charts. Right-handed pitcher Felix Bautista. He's a reliever. He's 26 years old, right? So he's a little older for a prospect, right? But here's the thing. In the system last year, he flew through all the different levels, started at Aberdeen, finished at Norfolk, pitched well at all levels, ended up with a 1.45 ERA last year combined, 15 Ks per 9 innings. This guy's got a live arm and, in my opinion, could be a piece to add to the bullpen out of spring training that early.
I'm with you.
Okay. Not sold on this guy.
You're protecting a 26-year-old reliever.
Okay. Okay.
Let me just again, you're protecting a 26-year-old reliever. He's been in the farm system for 5 years now at 26, and just this year he blows through.
Right. I understand that
I'm not
hesitation.
sold. A blind squirrel can find a nut every once in a while.
If he was a starter, I agree with you.
But
As a
you're
reliever.
protecting. But that's my point. You're protecting a bullpen guy.
But here's the thing: a reliever's much easier for a team to stash than a position player. So his probability of being picked, in my opinion, would be higher than. And especially if you're asking this guy who came in again through 3 minor league systems this past year and pitched really well. He's got a live arm. Teams desire
You
that.
just said
in the
that. He
back
went
end
through
of the
3
bullpen.
minor league systems. He had 1 good year.
I get that. I understand that. But it sometimes, and Buck Showalter preached this, is it takes somebody 4 or 5 years in a system to really find their own. There are exceptions to the rule, but at 26 years old, I get it's a little older for a prospect, but if it's a piece at 26-year-old that you think can contribute to your major league roster this coming year, that's important.
If there wasn't guys on the not protected list,
we'll get to that.
We'll get to that.
We'll get to that.
You might have my attention, but there's guys on the not protected list that I would have chose over this guy all day long.
All right, Drew, I'm going to ask you about this guy because this was a guy I didn't know a whole lot about. I'll be honest with you. But
I didn't read about him today.
He was another name that was ended up being protected.
So what you two just said was
No, I knew him, but it did come out of nowhere being put on the 40.
I think again, when you talk potential, right, there are some things that are attractive about what I've heard about this guy, and it's right-handed pitcher Logan Gillespie. He's a 24-year-old, another reliever, signed last year as a minor league free agent, pitched well at Aberdeen, did okay at Bowie when he got called up. What you like about him is he's got a live fastball. 97, 98, pretty good command. He's got a good breakaway slider. So he's kind of not quite the level as far as arm talent as like a Tanner Scott would be, but he's up there as far as his fastball capability. And if he's got command, I understand why this is a piece, but why wasn't this guy on my radar prior? I'd never even heard of him, to be honest with you.
Yeah, I guess he did just kind of fly under the radar. I mean, he did just sign with them last year, but he's got the kind of that stuff that you always hear about. So I think the kind of thinking from what I'm reading in the tea leaves, like this would be a guy that they would go out and try to get in the Rule 5 draft.
Right.
So instead of just going and getting a equal player that you don't really know, you know this kid.
Right.
You don't want to let go of that live arm, or you want to think you can rein it in the next couple of years.
this one makes sense. He's 24 years old,
Yeah,
right? I mean,
yeah.
that's that youth, and he's getting through, and he gets through Aberdeen and all that stuff. I think to your point, Fred, there's just it sucks. It's weird that he did fly under the radar, but look, he's here, he's young, he's got life on the fastball, which is what really intrigues me about him. At 24 years old, no arm issues that we're aware of, throwing 98 miles an hour consistently. I'll take that over the 26-year-old reliever who's just now getting to the AAA level in a farm system.
Right. No, that makes sense.
So
Let's go
Fire
down.
that fastball in there. The catchers are talking now. Yeah, he's ripping it in.
Let's go down
catchers
some
take the
notable
floor.
names. Let's go down some notable names that weren't protected. And I found this list. It was 6 players that somebody else had rated out there. I'm not even sure who it was, as 6 notable players that weren't protected. Of this 6, there's 2 that are alarming to me. The other guys are just kind of and I don't think we have to worry about them going anywhere. But there are 2 names that I could very easily see getting selected off this list. And to your point, when you're protecting a guy like Bautista and Gillespie, I may have been more keen to liking these guys and protecting these 2. We'll start with the pitcher, another lefty, a left-handed pitcher, Nick Vespi. 26 years old, so he's on the higher end of that age bracket for prospects. He's a reliever as well. He was available last year in the Rule 5 draft, didn't get selected, so I think maybe that's in the back of the Orioles' minds when they're thinking about it. He's got a high K to walk ratio, so there's a lot to like there. He did struggle a little bit when he got to the AAA level, but again, I think he can get that figured out.
And you just sold why he didn't get protected, right?
Right.
You didn't do it last year. He didn't have much better of a year and show anybody anything that would push you in the direction that, oh yeah, we should protect this guy. Plus his age is getting up there with the minimal to low success.
But here's the
Makes
thing.
sense.
I understand, but it's a small sample size of why he didn't succeed. It was a small sample size. He struggled at AAA. But more recently, he was dominant in the AFL. In the Arizona Fall League.
The Arizona Fall League, where it's a lot
dominant.
of single and double A guys. You're
There's a
playing
good
against-
mix, but it's
when
top
you're-
talent.
It's top talent, but a lot of it's top talent that you're looking to get them the extra look to see, can they make another leap? That's what the Arizona Fall League is about. Is most of those guys, can they make a good leap or a solid leap to AAA level? When you're playing against those single and double A type guys, yeah, you should be able to dominate as a pitcher that's in the AAA farm system. You should be able to do that. So it's not that impressive to me. This is another guy that I think it makes sense that he's not protected here. You're alarmed by it. I'm not. I think everything you're saying lines up to we shouldn't have thought about protecting this guy at all.
All right.
Now, the next guy.
Hold on. Let's
Okay,
get Drew.
go ahead,
Drew, what's your take on Vespi?
Kind of same things. Nothing really that to chime in. I mean, you're kind of taking a gamble. I mean, there's going to be players like him that you have to take. Like everyone on this list that's held off the open. There's going to be guys you have to take that risk. If you, my thing would be that was against him was, like you said, that last year he wasn't protected last year, and he didn't get selected.
Right.
So that's probably that main cog is you're taking a gamble. You don't want obviously they love the guy. They wouldn't want him to go anywhere. But the fact of the matter is, like, you got to put people in that list. I mean, there's people that can't go on the list.
We saw a very, very similar name last year at Zach Pop get selected. Very similar skill set, very similar production at the minor league level. So that's my concern there. The other guy, and I think we're all concerned about this one. The other guy, at least I would assume, outfielder Robert Newstrom. This is a guy that we talked a lot about this year.
Yes.
Lit it up in the minor leagues, specifically at Bowie. Struggled a little bit at Norfolk with the power at the start, but then went on a run there later. 25 years old. What you like about him is he's a power bat from the left side of the plate. Again, that's important at Camden Yards. He hit very well at Bowie. Not a great defender. So, I mean, if you're looking at anything, his average wasn't great this year. Not a very good defender. Again, this is if somebody's going to claim him, they got to keep him on the roster the entire year. Do you think Newstrom has a chance of getting selected?
I think he does have a chance of getting selected by someone. This is the surprise that I would have thought they would have protected. And this is one of the guys I would have taken over Felix Bautista any day of the week, because this is a guy, when you look, he has the potential to kind of did he struggle a little bit? Yeah, but to your point, he kind of came up. This is a guy you could start in a situation where he's on the 40-man, he starts in the minors next year. He doesn't have to be on the 25-man. He just needs to be on the 40-man. Right? Put him on the 40-man, start him in AAA, see if he continues. And if he does, you can bring him up, because right now, who's your left-handed bat in the lineup?
Right.
Set him all. That's it.
Right. Well, to answer Adit's question, he says, is Kyle Stowers a similar player to Newstrom? Could be why he was unprotected? I don't think he's a similar player. Stowers is more, he can play all three outfield positions. He can play center field, left field, right field. Newstrom is 100% going to be more of a corner outfield.
Yeah.
And now, the Orioles system is loaded with a bunch of just mediocre outfielders. And I think Newstrom is in that same boat as a mediocre outfielder, especially defensively.
Yeah.
But what he brings in left-handed power hitting ability, I take him any day of the week over a DJ Stewart,
Yes.
or a couple other guys, right, that just have been lingering around that are taking up roster spots. So to me, this is a name that I would have liked to have seen protected. Drew, what's your take?
Oh, please don't go. It was fun. The funny part of it was I started paying attention to him after that Tuesday night game we went to Bowie in the summer. I was like, the guy's got a hockey name. And I was like, it just seemed like it stuck with me ever since. Then I started following The Verge. You have to follow The Verge. So I know they love him. I think it's one of you have more depth at that spot, with it being a lesser of a tool in his outfield. But man, I hope all I can say is just I'm keeping my fingers crossed that he doesn't go anywhere.
Yeah. He's a guy. He's a guy that I've followed him since he was in Aberdeen. I was up there when he was first up there, and he was a big name at Aberdeen at the time because he was doing really well. He goes up, continues to do well, has some struggles, but
I don't think he's reached his potential yet with the power either. Like, I mean, he hit I think just under 20 home runs between the two levels this past year, and let me tell you, the one that he hit oh man, I forget where they were playing, but it damn near went out of the stadium over 4 decks.
Yeah.
Was absolutely absurd. The kid has ridiculous power.
I think they might have been in Tennessee. I don't remember where they were at either. It might have been Pittsburgh or somewhere up there. But either way, look, the fact that this kid, you talked about latter half of the year, what he could, what he was able to kind of put together.
Yeah.
Think about why that was.
Right.
He had more time with the Pabui hitting coach.
Right.
Where's that hitting coach now?
Yeah.
At the major league level.
Right.
Right? If you can get more input from him, bring him to the stadium every once in a while, put him on that bus. This is a guy I'm fine with him coming up and out of the bus. Take some swings at the stadium. What does it look like? What does it feel like? Maybe it happens. I just was surprised by it.
So the next couple of guys that are on this list, I'm just going to go down real quick, and you guys tell me if there's anybody on this list that really jumps out at you. Right-handed pitcher Blaine Knight. He was a former third-round pick. He's been up and down so far through the system. Pitched really good at Aberdeen last year, struggled at Bowie. Right-handed pitcher Cody Sedlock, who was a former first-round pick of ours out of, I think, Illinois is where he went. He has not impressed at all in his short career.
This is his third year being unprotected. I mean, what does that tell you?
Exactly. So there's no fear of him going anywhere. And to be honest with you, I don't know how much of an impact he's ever going to have on the big league club anyway.
And here's the deal: there is compensation that can come back to a team. They have to pay 50 grand in order to get these guys off Rule 5.
Right.
So to them, that's drops in the bucket. That's one of these guys' salaries for the year. It's not that big of a deal.
If they don't hold on to him, you get him back.
Right.
Well, you get him back and you get 25 grand back.
Yeah.
So it's cheap at that point.
One guy that I was a little bit surprised on, infielder Patrick Dorian. He's another guy we watched up there when we were in Bowie. 25 years old, played well last season, could play all over the infield, all the infield spots if you need him to. So another utility type.
But
guy.
Here's why he goes unprotected, because you were either picking him or Vavra, and with Vavra being 2 years younger, about a year and a half younger, they're very similar type players, can play all over the infield. I think Vavra gives you a little bit more because he has been tested in the outfield. I don't believe that Dorian has been in the outfield. If it has been, it's been very, very limited. We haven't heard about it much.
And the other guy on this list, the last guy on the list, I don't think we have any fear of going anywhere. Again, I don't even know how much of an impact he'll ever have at the major league level. I think he's just a piece. He is a former teammate of Adley Rutschman at Oregon State. Shortstop Caden Grenier, second-round pick.
High strikeouts.
Yeah, he hasn't had a very good bat so far as his professional career. He's a decent defender. Again, there's really not a whole lot of draw for him. I don't see him getting picked up, at least not this year.
If his bat starts to develop this year, then maybe you look at protecting him next year, being that he was a second-round pick. So, okay, fine at that point if the bat starts to develop. If the bat doesn't develop, he's just a decent defender, and honestly, that's not going to get you to the major league level on a consistent basis.
So let me ask you this. Speaking of Adley Rutschman, right? One of the things that I looked at when I was looking over these lists of who was named and who wasn't, who's on 40-man, who's not. Adley Rutschman.
Not on the 40-man yet.
Not on the 40-man yet because he doesn't have to be. But there's no catchers on the current 40-man roster. Not one. One name that I'm so glad is gone. Pedro Severino, thank God.
He's getting paid, what, $1.65 million a year?
Experiment is over. So my question is, do you guys legit think that Adley has a chance to break camp with the major league club, or do you see the Orioles going out and signing a couple free agents and slow starting him?
They're going to go sign a free agent just as the intended backup, right? Or potential starter if you're worried about Adley in spring trading or something. But you got to go get some depth there, because if he goes down, you're fucked. Right. At that point,
yeah,
I mean, he's the best. He's the best catcher. We talked about it last year. He's the best catcher in the league to start the season last year.
Right. In
the organization. So I think he's most likely. This is indications are, unless something crazy happens. Now, granted, we still have the January, the winter meetings that'll happen early January. Trades that can happen at that a lot. Some backside deals with free agents. You'll see some.
Well, that's why I wanted to ask you, because there have been some rumors that the Orioles actually might spend some money in free agency this year. How much, we don't know. They might spend $5. They might spend $50 million. Who knows, right? But my question is, like,
you mean, wait. You mean they need a catcher on the 40-man and it only costs $5? We got two in the room.
Woo! Done deal. I'll sign tomorrow. But here's my question though. Like,
Pay me what I make at my job right now, and I'll do it.
Are there any names out there that you guys have heard of as a catcher that might be a stopgap, right? Somebody that they think can actually come in, kind of be a mentor for Adley for one season, right? Pay him $10 million a year, whoever this name is. I don't know who the free agent catchers are out there, but to be that kind of a mentor to Adley, because even if he does break camp and he is on the roster, I don't know that he's the day one starter at catcher.
What's Rube Baker doing?
Jake Taylor.
Hear me out. Never going to happen,
Okay.
but I got a theory behind it.
Crash Davis.
Buster Posey still retires in orange and black.
No.
Oh my God.
I don't see that happening.
Again, it's a crazy theory. I just joking around, but no, there's nobody out there.
Crash Davis.
I mean, it's really not. It's not anything that's nothing's jumping off the page of you that they're gonna go. I mean,
So are you of the mindset that Adley will be the opening day starter at catcher?
No.
I think he has to be. I mean, I think it makes sense. The only other thing I can see them doing, and this is just I don't see. It comes down to defensive, and it would be a backup to Adley, but I wouldn't mind it giving the history.
Where's Greg Zahn?
I don't know what Matt Wieder's contract looks
No.
like.
Oh, Jesus. How much does your wife pay you to say that?
That was just for her. That was just for her.
Drew, all seriousness, do you
I was
think
the first
Adley
one-
starts?
I was the first one in here that said he was the opening day catcher.
Yeah?
I
Yeah.
stick to my guns on that. Now, who
Okay.
the backup catcher is, I can't say that's.
You don't even have to name a guy. If you really think Adley will be the starter.
It wouldn't surprise me that Adley is the starting catcher on opening day, and then there's someone they're taking the Rule 5 draft is the backup.
Really? You think they'll go
Okay.
Rule 5 as a back? That's not okay.
That wouldn't be a bad game plan. I can see that happening.
Because
I
I
can
mean,
see that. I can see that or
keep
free
him on the
agency.
roster anyway. You know what I mean? Like, it's a catcher you keep on the roster anyway, and it's a catcher that would get experience because he wouldn't be catching every day. Obviously, hopefully,
Well.
you would.
Well,
Well,
and again,
maybe.
I'm joking around with the guys that I said. But
I do think Adley's the opening day catcher. I've always said
I'm
it.
joking around with the guys that I'm saying in Posey and Wieters because of the simple fact of you just need to go get a veteran that's at the back end of his career. Maybe he's been a starter. Maybe he hasn't been. Another guy that just jumps off that is a decent defensive catcher that could be backup and fill stop gaps. A guy like Castillo. Right, we saw Castillo here before. He could come back. I don't know where his contract is with the Rockies. I don't know, but I think you have to bring in. Is it a Rule 5 guy? Maybe, but I think that's where some of the free agency comes in. Is you go get somebody that can come up and help him deal with any of the pressures. I think he'll be able to deal with it, but I think just having somebody else there, I just don't know who that is.
I honestly don't think, from a catching standpoint, not a
don't
hitting.
need help.
He doesn't. Like he's not Matt Wieters. Like Matt Wieters, when he came in, was learning how to call a game, whereas Adley Rutschman's been calling a game his entire career, right? So there's not going to be a whole lot of transition from him from a defensive standpoint to the major league level. His bat's going to have to get adjusted. So I would normally agree with that take. I just don't think it's as important with him having that veteran backup, but who knows? I mean, I could be wrong. It's still so early in free agency. There's a lot of things that could happen, a lot of guys that could be released.
There could be a lockout.
There could be a lockout, right? They can never play.
Comes back.
Right. There's just a lot of things. There's a lot of things that could happen. It's all speculation. And speaking of speculation and rumors, right? Floating around the warehouse, I heard some rumblings today. John Means' name being mentioned.
Hold on. I'm not even going to say it. Drew, what do we have to know about this rumor?
Buster Olney sucks.
Agreed.
Or is there something else you expected me to say?
No, that's exactly what I thought you were going.
Because, I don't like Olney. I have no problem saying it. You can see me put it on Twitter. He's been doing nothing but shitting on the Orioles the last month, and from what I've heard from I'll just say literally what's been happening last month or so. I'll go with that rumor came out as by him. Kabako today was on the radio on my way home, said I wouldn't use the terminology that Buster Olney used. He used dangling. What the fuck? Obviously, Kabako does. What does that mean? You're so vague to saying that they're dangling. They're not doing that. But if that obviously they fielded calls on
So
anybody in
The
their
phone
system.
is on, and they're going to
always
listen.
on. It's always going to be on when you're a rebuilding team.
So
you're not. I'm sorry. I want to rant a little rant. You're not saying anything that no one said that anyone with knowledge says. So with only putting this little report out, it really is. It's just throwing the coals to keep throwing the coals.
Right.
Somebody's
And using
just-
your terminology to make it look like these cheap fucking bastards again, getting rid of all their best players again.
Somebody just probably told him and under their insider information. Yeah, we're thinking about trying to go after John
And he
Means.
ran with it and took it
The Orioles,
fucking
the
worse.
Orioles say that they're willing to take anybody's call. That's probably what was said, right? And to your point, the rumor is that the Orioles are shopping and dangling John.
They're not
Means.
shopping. They're just fielding calls.
From
If somebody wants to
writers
call.
who I will take
Right.
a Connolly or a Kabako's word above anybody else's.
100%
If their
agree.
word says they will listen to everybody. They're not dangling anybody out
It's
there.
just to your
All
point.
right,
It's
They're
spinning
not
the
going
words.
to you
Let-
saying, "Hey guys, here's
let-
Mancini. You guys want the comeback player of the year?" They're not going out doing that.
Let's talk facts for a second about John Means, though, right? He's 29 years old.
29.
29 years old. He's a pitcher that has shown flashes, but has not been able to stay healthy, right? He's had the longevity issues with his arm. He has yet to throw for an entire full season. Are you, if you are a GM, fielding those phone calls and actually considering this? Because do you consider a 29-year-old pitcher who hasn't been able to put together a full season a true piece for your future?
Going into this season, I would have said, no way, this guy is our future number one. I think he's still our number one right now, right? But if somebody's willing to offer something for him, I'm listening. He's a left-handed guy. He's a left-handed, somewhat of a strikeout type pitcher, right? He had the 11 or 12 K game or whatever it was, or 13 Ks. I forget how many he had, but it was a strong game.
He had the
strong
no-hitter,
showing.
too.
Had the no-hitter.
Thanks, Severino.
Yeah.
Previous
Dick.
previous year, had some struggles, obviously with everything that happened. But even the year before that, his rookie year really stood out. There's still some youth right there, but remember, this guy came into his rookie year at 26.
Yeah.
Right. We talked about the age on some of these guys. Is he going to be around in 3 years? Is he going to still be able to be throwing with the injuries that he's had? Is he going to be able to be throwing 93, 94? We did see his velocity drop off a little bit. He was throwing 96, 97. Then after the two injuries and the soreness and the fatigue, we start seeing it come down to
93,
93, 94 consistently. Are we seeing a tapering off? Possibly. So, yes, if someone is calling, at the beginning of the year, I would have said no. Now, after seeing him this year and seeing a slight tick with the injury and then the drop in velocity, I'm listening. I'm listening.
Drew, do you agree with that?
Yeah, I agree with the sad reality of John Means is he's the number one here. He's probably not the number. He's not the number one.
Number
He's a
4
number-
and number
let's
5.
say he's
elsewhere.
number 3, 4.
Let's just say in like 20 other teams, he's not the number one. So the problem is teams aren't going to send you a package of guys for a third or fourth starter. Like that's the sad reality of it. And it's an older guy. So you're at that kind of precipice. If you're a fan looking in, it's like, all right, well, if you're not going to get the best package you see fit, then he's still our ace.
Right.
You just hope that doesn't go south before you can really cash in.
Go ahead, James.
The only way that this is interesting for teams is his contract.
Right.
Is it control? Yeah.
And control.
And that's beneficial to
and he'll
anybody.
have
in
arbitration
contention.
after that, too.
If it works out, it makes the GM look good. But then he just,
I love John
I think,
Means.
No, but I think it's the same talk as we're fielding calls for the Ravens running backs. Like
Right.
I think it's similar to that. Like it has to be. You're not getting much from him, but a team. You never know, like the Dodgers or the Padres may take a risk because he's so cheap, it could work out.
I think
It
an
costs
interesting
nothing.
thing with him could be if he comes out this year and he has another first half and doesn't get hurt. July, he's going to command a way bigger package.
To that point, my head was actually
bigger
going a little
package.
bit ahead of that. So my idea was get to spring training, show that he can throw 96,
back
97,
healthy.
and he's
Yeah.
back healthy again. And if you get a team, to your point, that is missing that third or fourth starter that thinks they can add a cheap guy like John Means to the rotation to be beneficial, and you get that maybe not a tier 1 prospect, but you get a couple of tier
Or
2,
one of their top
tier
pitching
3
prospects that
pitching
they thought they could
prospects.
have been calling
Well,
up, had Tommy John or something.
And you get some of
They
these.
need to stop.
You get some of these teams too that some of the theories and some of what some teams are doing. We've seen it. We saw it out there with the Dodgers. The Dodgers 5 starters anywhere else are 1s and 2s.
Yeah, and they're paid that way.
And they're paid that way, right? So
Or they're
if
beating
you
women.
if you get a team like that, some of these teams that are kind of stacking some of these pitchers up, maybe it's a team like Milwaukee who knocking on the door this year of the playoffs and say we need a 5th starter that can bring us around and save us and not have us be this accidental loss.
Or punch a wall.
And they might be willing to part with it and say, okay, we're willing to give up a little bit of extra to get that guy that's gonna bring the rotation back around to where it's almost another number 2, number 3 starting.
Right. No, that's a great point.
And
He's
that,
the only player I'm fine being traded out of like the 3 names that you would expect to be traded.
and not to get off the subject, but Aberdeen's celebrating their 20th year this year. I don't know if
Yes.
you saw that they're
Yeah.
they're going to their retro uniforms and they're going with like a light blue,
They're going with
baby
the new
blue
Right.
powder.
I saw that, the new
I'm
logo
I'm
and
excited.
everything.
I might have to get me a jersey.
Yeah.
Hopefully maybe we can do like
They
you know,
do
out
shit
out
like
there.
that for
Yeah.
fans just like you.
And the other thing too, by the way, you talked about Aberdeen having some stuff. We got tagged in it on Twitter.
Yeah.
The Bowie Bay Sox, if you do not follow them, go follow them. They are doing a bunch of
12 days
giveaways.
Christmas.
I think it's like December the 3rd, Friday, December 3rd, something like that. There's one date where they're giving away a luxury suite for a home game.
I don't know how
So-
luxury it's going to be in Bowie, but whatever.
I thought he was going to say luxury.
Wouldn't it be
gas
cold a
can.
bit up in a
That would've
suite
been-
No,
when we were there,
it
right?
wouldn't.
Like
I'm just joking. We
they
love the
take
Bay
care of you.
Sox.
But no, it's one of the. It's cool, all the different giveaways and stuff. This is the thing about the minor league organizations that's great, and especially the Orioles. I feel like the past few years have really embraced it.
Yeah,
So-
no, it's awesome. Real quick side note, speaking of lower level tier systems, the Mesa Solar Sox,
Woo! Winning titles, baby.
Arizona Fog League champions. For those who don't know, this is the club that the Orioles players who participated in the Fall League are playing for. Most notable names were a couple guys we talked about earlier,
Vespi
and Gillespie. So want to make sure we give a shout
one
out
you
to them.
protected, one you didn't.
They are Arizona Fall League champs. All right, guys, I guess I'm on an island on this one by myself. It's Shell and Tell time.
I got you on this one too. I did watch the game and pay attention to it. So Drew can go to the bathroom. We're good now.
All right, so we're going to start with football as the Terps lose big and they get their asses kicked to number 6 Michigan, 59-18. Fall to now 5-6 on the year, still looking for that elusive 6th win.
Yeah, this one was rough. Obviously, starting with
I know, Googs. I know.
I know we don't want to have to do this, but starting with the senior night, obviously the honoring.
It was cool, man. The ceremony that they did, they had the families kind of all spread out in groups lined up on the field, and they introduced each player. Honestly, like I realized the size of the class. I think it was like 24 players in total were seniors going into this. But when you start looking at some of these names, man, you start thinking about where this team is at right now. You're going to be losing a guy like Chigakonkwo, the tight end who's been a beast these last couple of weeks. The Bennett brothers, as I call them, even though they're not brothers, but the 2 Bennett corners out there, you're going to lose both of them. Carlos Carrier, who's kind of super senior, jumped onto the scene a couple games this year after Dante Demas, which Dante Demas, another senior, who does have obviously they have the 1 year extra of eligibility if they want to use it because of the COVID year. But a guy like Dante Demas, he may have played his last down as a Terp. We'll see. We'll kind of see what happens with the NFL draft. But you can see for a lot of these guys, the emotions. I got a little choked up even seeing Demas come out because you could see how emotional he was. And the Terps, we give a lot of credit to the Ravens and how good that they are with their social media team. Shout out to the Terps and the Terps social media team too.
They've been good all year. They
put together a video. It's just a short video. It might have been a 2 or 3 minute video. It was basically a thank you to the seniors. And it was a video of each one of the seniors sitting down and watching this thank you video from the coaches and staff and whatnot. And you saw Dante Demas cry and get choked up during the video. So you feel bad for these guys. A lot of these guys, this is the last time they'll ever play football again, and have that kind of team camaraderie and being a part of something like this. Hopefully for some of these guys, they'll get more opportunities in the pros to extend their careers. But, it was cool the way that they did it, and thank the seniors.
Yeah, definitely a good approach. Now the game started off, I will say this. The game started off not as horrible as the score would have alluded to, because with 4 minutes left in the first half, it was still only 14-3.
Yeah, I mean, but literally everything that could have went right for Michigan went right, and yeah, when the floodgates opened, they fucking opened, and it was bad.
After that 4 minute mark, they scored a touchdown and off of a fumble by Maryland to end the half, and just started running away. It's 24-3 at half, and it's still like, okay, it's like this is starting to look bad. It wasn't bad in until that 4 minute mark. That 4 minute mark, I'm sitting there going, yeah, this could get out of hand real quick.
Yeah,
and it did.
We talked about it on Show and Tell. Like, this was going to be one of those games where the Terps were going to have to play perfect football. They couldn't make the mistakes that they had been making, especially down in the red zone. Well, it
Penalties.
started right away. They killed themselves again in the red zone. They had 4 penalties in one drive alone in the red zone. All 4 penalties in the red zone. And that started in the first quarter. And you knew right then and there that this was going to be a long day for the Terps. It was. Talia statistically probably had one of his worst games as a Terp. He only threw for like 58% completion, which this is a guy who's usually in that 70 to almost 80% completion range. Was just overthrowing guys, completely missed Corey Deitches twice in the end zone. So not only are you shooting yourself in the foot with these terrible penalties in the red zone, but then you're actually missing on opportunities that you do have.
Yeah, and you mentioned the 4 penalties. They had 8 penalties in this game total. That cost them 59 yards in this game.
Yeah, 4 of them were on the same drive in the red zone.
So it just continues to be a problem with them. The fact that they, obviously you mentioned them not really being able to get the passing game really going. I mean, they had 178 yards on the passing, but from the rushing standpoint, 181 yards. They really only were able to put up just over 300 yards in this game total.
Yeah, Leah's usually putting that up himself through the passing game, but they did do better in the run game. Go ahead, Joe or James.
Real quick, I was sitting home watching it, and I know what had to kill Fred and Ryan at the game was I think it was after halftime or before halftime when they kicked off. And they did the lateral pass back and just took up the field on your side.
I wasn't even going to go special teams in this.
I was like, I could just imagine Fred and Ryan just sitting there like, this is the shit I'm talking about.
Yep.
Get rid of the fucking
It's
guy.
like you were there, James.
I was sitting at home.
God.
I'm like, they just did that right in front of Fred and Ryan on the same sideline, just running right past it, dude.
Special teams has been so bad this year that I fully expected it to be bad in this game again, but I was still very disappointed. It's just, I don't understand it. Again, you've got a coach out there who has NFL experience. What the fuck? I've never coached a day in my life, and I feel like I could go out there and do a better job than this guy. It's been an absolute shit show, but I don't even want to go on special teams on this because there was a lot of things. Like I said, Talia didn't have a very good game in this game. Penny Boone, who's a guy that Ryan and I have been clamoring to get a little bit more involved in the offense, get a little bit more carries. He had a rough game, couple of really easy drop passes out of the backfield. I don't know if he was playing a little bit nervous or what. It was just uncharacteristic for him to have that kind of a game.
And it wasn't, they just weren't efficient either, right? Third downs, they were 3 of 14.
Yeah.
You cannot expect to win a game. You can't even expect to be in a game if you're only getting 3 first downs out of 14 on third downs.
Now, credit to Michigan because, again, I fully expected to lose this game. I would have been happy if they would have been within 2 possessions, 2 scores, and I would have felt content about this loss. I'm going to tell you now, Michigan has a severely underrated wide receiver core because if you look statistically across the board at their wide receivers, nothing really jumps out at you. And if you listen to anybody who watches this team, they're not very good.
But you know what they are? Fucking athletic.
They're super athletic. And let me tell you, their quarterback and their wide receivers, well, they had 4 quarterbacks in this game, mind you. But McNamara had a connection. And they must practice the fade to the corner of the end zone every day for like an hour a day, just throwing that ball because it was so pretty. They did it a couple of times.
You
in
got a
this
pretty
game.
good look at it, didn't you?
I did. I had a very good look at it. Unfortunately, both of them were on the opposite side of the field, but I could clearly see. I mean, the perfect pass.
You were able to truly watch it develop.
There was no way a defender was going to get their hand on the ball. And then outside of that, we talked about this team presenting issues through the run game. Well, yes, their running backs did good. Hassan had a good game in this game, but it was Donovan Edwards who was the problem. And it wasn't running the ball. It was catching the ball out of the backfield on screens and short bubbles. He had 10 catches. A running back had 10 catches for 170 yards in this game, mostly in motion out of the backfield where guys weren't following him and he was left wide open coming out of the backfield. So we talk about like the miscommunication things with the Ravens. You're seeing a lot of those same communication issues with the Terps. And it's been week in and week out.
They've struggled, and we've talked about that, right? From a defensive standpoint, there's been problems. One of the things that's been surprising is, and I feel like maybe part of it with him is he just feels he needs to make up for so many other people. Is Nick Cross. Nick Cross has had some real struggles. I feel like he's
trying to do too much. That's the problem.
That's my point. Is he's trying to make up for holes and trying to make up for other people, and he's actually hurting in all reality from a selfish standpoint. He's hurting his own value. Because
I don't think he hasn't been that bad. No, I mean, I do think that he's playing a little bit too much up in the box sometimes, and I think that's because of the poor linebacker play and some of the injuries that we've had at linebacker. We did see Brandon Jennings get back out there in the field. He looked a little confused and a little lost on a couple of plays in that. Again, not getting out in coverage against the running back, Donovan Edwards. I saw Ruben get frustrated with a couple of guys on the field and end up having to leave his assignment to go guard the running back. Again, it's just simple things, communication things that need to get cleaned up. But to your point, James, again, we saw all 4 Michigan quarterbacks in the game. All 4 of them look good.
They all did their own thing out there.
Yeah, exactly. So this, again, it was an ugly loss. There's no justifying it. There's no painting a pig pretty on this one. We got our asses kicked.
There was a lot of Michigan fans there, too.
There were. Well, yeah, we sat right in the middle of it. You know how we are. We sit right in the gist of it, and there was a ton of Michigan fans.
The section was empty after, like, the first
quarter. Yeah, this was the earliest I had seen the student section leave in this game.
They brought the flag down early.
They've been holding it down previous.
I give a lot of credit to the student section. We've been doing that all year. I mean, the student section for the football team has held out really well this year, but justifiably so at halftime. They're like, yeah, fuck it. It's Friday night. We're going to party. Or Saturday night, we're going to party. Whatever.
Jim was just licking his lips at halftime.
Right.
So...
And he wasn't wearing brown khakis. He was wearing blue khakis. It was a little different. Interesting.
So I look at the Terps right now, and here's what I would say to them. Look, if you had one shot or one opportunity to seize everything you ever wanted in one moment, would you capture it?
Heavy,
or
he's vomiting on his sweater already. Mom spaghetti. He's nervous.
He's vomiting on his sweater already. But no, look, here's the deal. You have one shot in front of you in this Rutgers game. You got Rutgers up next. Rutgers is 5-6. They're fighting too.
Yeah. I mean, listen, we talked about it all year long, how important getting to a bowl game is. I don't give a shit if it's the Meineke Bowl. I don't care what bowl it is. Get to a bowl. Show progression, right? Ryan and I talked a lot about why this Michigan game was so important to get the win was because not only do you secure the bowl game, but you do
mentally, emotionally.
You do it against a top tier team. That's one thing that this team
that you've kept close all year with other teams like that for the most part.
I don't know what games you've been watching. My point is they haven't had that marquee win yet, right? Getting to a bowl game is a step, and it's a big step, but I don't know how that impacts the current roster and the fluctuation within the transfer portal. You might see a lot of guys at the end of this year bail ship and find a better situation and leave, which is only going to hurt this program in everything that they've built so far. Hopefully I'm wrong. Maybe I'm just being a pessimist, but it comes down to this game against Rutgers. I can tell you now, if they don't get this win against Rutgers, it's abandoned ship. Fucking everybody's gone, and we're starting from ground zero again. That's my take.
I would imagine the way that this team started, there's got to be some frustration building from some of the guys, especially some of these guys that it's their, the seniors. It's their last chance, so to speak. And I think that's one of the things you got to look at. This is a close game. This is going to be on paper, and really, in my opinion, it will play out this way. This will be the toughest, meanest game they have played all year. You've got
It better be.
Well,
it better be the cleanest game.
But I'm saying that because you've got two teams that this is it. This is their shot. This is their opportunity to make it to the next level. This is written. It's
a playoff game.
Right. I wouldn't have been surprised to actually see this game get flexed into a primetime type game because of what the
Nobody
matchup
gives
means.
a shit about the Terps except for the 5 people who are in this room.
I just think if you play it up that these are the two teams, these two teams are playing for their fighting for a bowl opportunity. You could play. Think about it from a marketing standpoint. The marketing could be there,
and it wouldn't work.
Okay.
I love your heart. I love where your head's at.
I'll be wrong.
There's a lot of college. There's a lot of college football out there.
Yeah, there is. So, getting into Rutgers a little bit. To your point, 5-6. So they're on a similar path. They're again both teams fighting for that bowl win. They're not a whole lot to worry about on offense. They're a balanced offense. They're equally as good on through the air as they are on the ground. There's no superstars on this offense. There's not that one guy that you got to make sure you account for. But on the other side of the ball, defensively, they're a very, very good football team. They're averaging 10. They're giving up 10 less points a game than we are on average. So that goes to show you they're giving up like 23 points a game to our 33 points a game. So defensively, they're good. And their 2 wins in the Big Ten, they beat Indiana 38-3. I know Indiana isn't a great football team, but they beat them 38-3.
Manhandled them.
They beat Illinois 20-14, who we struggled with, but we did beat Illinois. But Illinois also beat some top-level talent this year, right? So, again, this team, it's not going to be a walk in the park by any means. It's going to come down to how mentally tough are they? How bad do they want it? How prepared are they as a coaching staff and as players? How serious do they take this week in practice to get as prepared and put all things on the fucking table? Ryan and I have been talking about this for weeks. One thing that this team has yet to do is to throw any kind of fucking trick plays out there. They have done literally nothing from a creativity standpoint.
There's no wow factor.
All chips are in on this table. I want to see every fucking trick play, card that you got tucked up your sleeve, pulled out in this game, because that's what it's going to take to get this win. They have to get this win. It's so crucial to this program.
It is. It's crucial. You talked about the transfer portal and needing to win this game, right? Here's the other thing. You lose this game, it's going to say a lot to some of the recruits out there.
Exactly.
Right? So it's not just a transfer portal. It's the recruits. It's the transfer portal of guys thinking about wanting to come here or wanting to ask for that transfer exception, right? There are long-term esque, right? Because everything, it's college. It's 4 years, right?
Yeah.
It's long-term esque implications of this game. You have to come out fighting. And you've got to keep this competitive. If they start running away with this early, if it gets up 14-0, 20-3, whatever it may be, if this starts looking like that Michigan game.
Hey, this team only lost to Michigan by 1, to Goog's point. We just got slaughtered by Michigan. I'm just saying.
And Rutgers normally has our number.
Yeah,
I talked about
Rutgers is a much better program than what they were a few years ago.
And to get people to get here, as Ryan was said, they're going to love our locker room.
Oh, yeah.
So,
well,
that's going to be
this is on the road. This is up in.
No, I know that, but I'm talking about when the.
He's talking about from
recruits come in.
Yeah, but what is the recruiting? What does a facility do if I go there and I still don't win?
That's the thing. Right now, Maryland has no more excuses. The facilities are done. The facilities are there. Everything that you've been clamoring that you needed to be on that same level as top tier, as some of the top tier colleges out there, you have that. The board is done. Everything visually and from a freaking just university standpoint is there. Now it comes down to production on the field, and that's from the coaching staff. And if you miss this, it's super detrimental.
You have to, if they
It's
lose
a
here,
huge
you
step
have
back.
to worry about the timetable that you start, people start looking at locks because of the repercussions that come out of recruiting and stuff like that. It doesn't matter how pretty a facility and nice it is. If I'm not going to be able to really get my talent to the next level and go bowling and do these things that these guys want to do and play as a true Big Ten elite team, you've got to win this game and start that path. If you don't,
I've never
momentum
wanted to
swings the
go to
other way.
Detroit so bad in my life. Because Ryan and I talked about it. If the Terps go on a bowl game, if they go to a bowl game, we're going no matter where it is. And right now, talked to Googs about this the other day, the way the bowl tree kind of points, it shows us in the Quick Lane Bowl, which would be in Detroit. Get me there. Get this win. Get us there. I'm hoping, man. I'm pulling for you. I think the Terps will do it. I'll put my prediction out there real quick. I do think the Terps will win this game. It might not be ugly or it might not be pretty. But I think they'll do enough to win it. It's going to be close. I got it like a 30-27 game. We win by the skin of our teeth. Oh, man, I hope I'm not just drinking the Kool-Aid, but I really, really think the Terps can
If
pull
it
this
happens,
out.
I'll point you to some good stuff in Detroit because there ain't much out there.
That's all right. Give me 2 or 3 things, and I'll be appreciative.
I'll go with the Terps are barely able to escape this by the skin of their teeth.
Yeah.
They're not winning this game.
On a kick at the end of the game. 27-24.
Okay, so we're right there within a couple points. Side note, speaking of recruiting, recruiting's not going to get any easier for a long time.
Nope.
Up against Penn State, at least. Penn State reached an agreement on a 10-year extension with head coach James Franklin that's going to keep him through 2031. James Franklin's rumored to have been, potentially interested in the USC job and a couple other jobs that were out there. So Penn State did what they needed to do, and they locked him up. I cannot fucking stand this guy, but somehow he continues to recruit in our backyard.
I just looked up his contract. It's pretty sweet how they have it set up, too.
Yeah.
That
Listen.
man has incentives to make extra money.
Yeah, and he honestly, he really hasn't done a whole lot since he's been there.
No.
He continues to get the recruits and whatnot,
But he chokes.
but he chokes. He hasn't won a big bowl game yet. So it's crazy to me. But again,
Well, who you going to go out and get?
that's what I'm saying. What does this university really attract, considering the black cloud that still hangs over them as a university with everything that happened there? Are you really going to find a big name that's going to want to come there to replace a James Franklin? No. So I think Penn State did the right move here. I don't know if it was the right move for James Franklin personally, but it was the right move
lock
for
up
Penn
for that
State
long
to lock
now.
him up.
Yeah.
All right, let's switch over to the hard court. We'll go over to basketball just for a second. Team is now 4-1 on the season, supposedly playing through the cupcake part of their schedule. But let me tell you, not a single one of these fucking games have been a cupcake.
Nope.
They've all come
Close.
down to me stuffing my face with cupcakes and anxiety because I think they're going to lose every game. They come down to the wire. They fall out of the top 25 after losing to George Mason, go down to the wire against Hofstra.
Blocked 3-pointer was the only reason they won.
Right. Hofstra. Now, I understand the competitive balance of college basketball has gotten better because the transfer portal, a lot of guys are transferring from these Power 5 schools and they're going into these smaller schools and they're getting playing time where they weren't getting them at the Power 5s.
And then
here's the thing, and this is what I told Ryan. These smaller schools like the George Masons of the world, like the Hofstras of the world, they might have 2 or 3 guys, like guys that they got from these Power 5 schools. But outside of that, they're still the same talent level outside of those 2 or 3 guys. This is the University of Maryland. This is supposed to be a top 25 program. They're supposed to be loaded from top to bottom in these top level recruits. We should still, because historically, when you think of the first 4 or 5 games, the out-of-conference schedule, these are like the games you're winning by 20, 30, 40 points. You got your 3rd and 4th string guys in there. We're having to play our best talent to the last whistle in that game. It's alarming.
Do you think some of that has to do with these guys? This isn't the same team as last year, right? There's several guys coming from the transfer portal. There's several recruits coming in. You think some of it is the need to mesh that you really didn't have as much last year?
I think part of it is that, but again, to the point of all the transfers, that's the same excuse you could give to all these other schools who have all these new transfers in, right? They're all trying to mesh too. Doesn't seem to be affecting them a whole lot, right?
Fair enough.
I do think we have not seen the best of this.
But
Terps team.
how many of those also have a par X's and O's coach?
Yeah, that's a very good way of putting it. And that's the thing with Turgeon. We all know his prowess as a recruiter, right? Yeah. He's able to get the talent in here. He's able to get the names in here, but he's still not a good X's and O's coach. And you can see that out on the floor. They look disorganized at times. They don't look like they know what they're running. They're not running.
Are we in zone or are we in man? Are we in zone or are we in man?
They've got uber talent that they didn't have in the low post, but they refuse to use it. They'll play against these teams that are playing like small guards, and instead of having Wahab go down there and guarantee yourself 2 points every time you touch the fucking ball, they'll bring in other guards to try to keep up with them speed-wise when that's not the proper approach. Your strength right now is not shooting the 3-ball. Golly, they're awful at it. Your strength is a 70+% shooter in the paint.
Get the power down low.
In Qudus Wahab and a freshman in Julian Reese who is dominating. But yet not once have we seen these two guys on the court together at the same time. I do think that comes later on in the year, but man, I think it's a missed opportunity. I think Terps needs to go back to the drawing board on certain things because I think this team has a lot of talent. Fats Russell is a very talented player, and I don't think he's being utilized correctly. Eric Ayala, he's been streaky. You know, this is the senior that we expected to step up and take that kind of, you know, that Mellow Tremble type of role, the Anthony Cowan type of role. I'm not comparing him in skill level, but I think he should take that role, and he kind of hides from it at times. So there's a lot of things going on with this team. They're still 4-1. But it's not a good 4-1. Doesn't feel good.
Especially when you have 3 other Big Ten teams that are still ranked. Now, we've talked about rankings don't mean a lot, but I think college basketball has been getting better with the rankings in their perspective because they do look at strengths of schedule. They look at when when it's a team that's not expected to perform all the Hofstras, the George Masons. Now, granted, George Mason has quite fairly regularly over the past 10 years been in the tournament. Right? They find their way in at least once every other year. So there's something to be said about that and the level of competition that they bring to the table. 64 best teams in the country. So out of what? There's probably 300 or 400. Right. So it does say something about their level of talent. But when you're losing and you're ranked at the beginning on paper, you look like you could be a powerhouse type team. And you're coming out and you're not playing like a powerhouse type team, and you're playing outside basketball instead of playing outside in basketball or even inside out. If you don't have the shot down low, get it out. But I think Goog said somebody.
To Goog's point, when Qudus has gotten double teamed, he has not handled it well, and that is definitely an area of his game that he needs to work on. But again, I think if you have that low post presence of Qudus and Julian down low, you can't double team them both. They won't double team them both. And when one is doubled, you've got the other one there and dominate the glass, dominate down low, dominate those second chance opportunities. That's just my take on it. I'm no college coach. What the fuck do I know? But at this point, I do not feel good about this 4-1 team. I do think that they've got a lot of talent, and I do think that eventually they'll get it figured out. They'll be back in the top 25, but it's going to be a while. Go ahead, James.
And that's the beauty about basketball compared to like football and lacrosse and baseball. Like those sports are more of you have to have a good team to compete. With basketball, you get these guys that transfer from a community college to like a George Mason or whatever and just show their talent off for a year. They don't give a fuck if they win or what. They'll just drop 50 a night.
Right.
And they don't care if they win or not and go to the NBA because they were seen and they put up the numbers compared to you have a team put together like Michigan because they have a head coach that has a name and they want to be back on TV and they put a whole team that not just one guy is good, it's the whole team that makes a balance.
Right. And
that's the thing about basketball. It can work different ways and we just need to find a chemistry with our team right now.
100% agree.
And I think we'll be better on during the season, like around the end of November going into December, we'll know who we are and who to put out there.
But the thing is, the Big Ten has a lot of big bodies in it, a lot of low post presence, right? You got to get these guys up to speed. You got to get Kudos as much experience as possible. There's no excuse that freaking Hofstra game, he didn't play a single minute. Or was Hofstra? I can't remember. It was either Hofstra or George Mason. One of those games, he didn't play a single minute in the second half. That's unacceptable. This is a guy who could be your leading scorer and one of your biggest offensive producers, and he's not out there. All right, guys, it's time for the rundown. It's been a little while since I've done this, right? So I'm going to kick this one off. I'll start it with, we kind of alluded to it earlier. We said we'd talk a little bit about it later. The Saints signed quarterback Taysom Hill to this unique 4-year hybrid type of contract extension that could be worth anywhere between 40 to 95 million. That's a big discrepancy between the two. 40 to 95 million, depending on the position he plays, and includes $22.5 million guaranteed. It pays him a $40 million base salary for the role that he's currently playing right now, and up to an additional $55 million if he does become the Saints starting quarterback for the next 4 seasons. Am I missing something here, or what the fuck? Taysom Hill is the new Sam Bradford. Like, I don't know how is he just like, he must have the best agent in the world to continually rob the Saints like this, like Sam Bradford did the NFL for a long time.
I guess Peyton's, that's his like stepson or something. Sean Payton's stepson.
I don't understand it.
I think he had a contract like 2 years ago. Like, they made him the highest paid, like,
well, that was a BS contract.
Yeah, but I understand, but they do this shit. Like, this guy, like, when I looked at the contract, I'm like, what the fuck is going on down there? Number one, you already don't have enough cap room in general, and you do dumb shit like this. Get yourself a fucking quarterback, build from it. You don't need this guy, dude.
Listen, here's the thing. He plays 10 to 15 snaps a game right now.
Overpaid.
And who's the fucking starter?
Right.
It's Trevor Siemian.
Yeah.
If he was going to be a starting quarterback, now would be the opportunity for him. But it's Trevor Siemian who obviously they're picking. I just don't understand.
I want to be a fly in the room. Like, what the fuck between the owner, the GM, and Sean Payton that say, hey, this guy, man.
I hate it. He vultures touchdowns from Kamara. I want him to go away.
Right. I don't get it. It makes no sense to me. Drew, I'll let you take the next one.
Speaking of money. So, the Tampa Bay Rays have this rookie phenom. He's 20 years old. They brought him up during the season. He was I don't remember where he ended up in the voting of Rookie of the Year, but he was a Rookie of the Year candidate. Well, they went ahead and said, screw all that arbitration, all that, $100K, $500K a year deals. We're just going to go ahead and sign you to a 11-year deal with a 12-year option, so it could be worth $223 million.
Yeesh.
And it's a commitment to a 20-year-old, and in baseball, that don't mean nothing.
That's awesome.
But, I mean, it's awesome for them, even though they're not known as a team that really spends money, because you're not really spending a lot of money on him. If you go by the AAV, it's like 16, 18 million a year.
That was my first take on this whole thing. Am I an idiot? Because I feel like this is a great deal for Tampa Bay.
It's almost...
It's great for both.
I think you want to start now. Granted, other deals I'm going to bring up aren't as long as this one, but it's something that you're kind of seeing because, like, the Braves did it with Albies and the guy I hurt his knee. Acuna.
Yeah, Acuna.
We're like, we took the foreign player and like, look, forget all that arbitration stuff. Here, sign an 8-year deal, and it's like 12 average a year,
Right.
like 12 million. So it's chump change compared to what they could get down the road.
Joe, to your point, that's exactly the deal that they should have done for Manny Machado when he first came up and lit the league up.
Hold on. But you know what the difference between Manny Machado and these guys? Manny Machado grew up in the United States. These guys grew up in the Dominican where $20 is a lot of money.
But Manny Machado was willing to negotiate.
I understand that.
He got shut down by the
I understand
front
that.
office.
When he was young, you probably could have got it. But
Then he had the
these
knees.
Dominican guys, $20 is rich.
Oh, no,
for them.
I 100% agree
them
with you.
locking up their future for take care of their families and beyond, they don't care.
I
It's
personally,
genius.
for the player, I personally understand why he did it because, yes, to your point, $120 million, or what was it? What was the total value on it?
It's 185 guaranteed.
185.
223.
185 guaranteed money is generational wealth for your entire family. Again, coming from a country where $20 is a lot of money to them, right? So I 100% get it.
Barring that you just stay in the league for 12 years.
But to your point, especially thinking long term, like, this is where I think this is an amazing deal for Tampa Bay, because I think personally Wander Franco is a can't miss prospect.
He was in the Rookie of the Year voting.
I understand the risk with, like, oh, well, you're paying this guy 12 years. What if he gets hurt and he loses? That's a risk you have to take, because again, if he doesn't, he's 20 years old. 12 years still puts him at only 32 years old. He should still be a very productive player at the end of this contract, and you've probably, in retrospect, when you look at some of these big deals that some of these other guys are getting, you've probably saved half of the value of what this contract could have been worth. This could have been worth $500 million over 12 years. When you look at, like, what freaking Tatis and some of these other guys
have gotten. Point.
That's
now,
the thing.
Tatis doesn't have a lot of service time under his belt, but they went and gave him this long-ass contract. If that would have been the same thing for Franco, you ain't getting a deal if he does the same trajectory.
But he's not going to finish his career in Tampa. He's not going to get traded, dude.
That was Adit's point, or question to us. So, do we think Wander Franco stays a Tampa Bay Ray for the length of this contract?
No, this is a genius contract for Tampa, because after 6 years, they're going to trade him to another team, get prospects, and keep on rebuilding their system.
Because they're going to be able to sell such an uber talent
it's such a great contract.
at such a great contract. Yeah. And they're going to be able to replace their entire starting fucking lineup.
So here's what I equate this to. Do you remember we just saw last year when we were all bored and in the house and watching Netflix and
bored in the
ESPN.
house, somebody in the house bored.
Tiger King. I watched a lot of Tiger King.
Yeah, we watched Tiger King. We also watched The Last Dance. Do you remember the Scottie Pippen contract? He went into a bad contract on his end, and I get what you're saying with the money. These guys, look, it's generational. He's taking care of it. But this guy could be severely underselling himself. And credit to him that he's just saying, look, I'm cool with this no matter how good I do. But the difference is you could be locked in. This guy was in the MVP voting. He came in second in the MVP voting next to...
I'm telling you, between Scottie Pippen, this guy's ecstatic and happy and don't care if he gets another dollar.
Scottie Pippen,
like, this guy... His family's taking care of.
I get that.
But different. He's not worried about it.
Oranges a little bit, though.
I've been to Dominican multiple times. This guy is going. He's a king right now. I
understand that. Hold on a second. Let me finish my statement. I let all of you guys finish. You kept interrupting me. My statement is, Scottie Pippen said, "I was happy with what I got at that time. When the market changed in retrospect, I was underpaid. I was unhappy for my performance." Scottie Pippen should have been a top-tier paid guy. This guy could be... Think about some of these guys that we're seeing right now that are getting paid $35, $40 million a year. This guy was in the Rookie of the Year voting, second to only his teammate. All right? This guy is a generation... He has the ability to make generational wealth, but he also has the ability to make even more generational wealth. And you could be seeing him in 5 years going, I really wish I would have signed this contract.
You know where he's going to make it up? In 5 years now, when he gets traded to the New York Yankees for an entire AAA farm roster, he's going to make it up in marketing. He's going to make it up in revenue.
That very well may be. My whole point with that is the same idea and concept.
Never see a dime.
Huh?
Could get hurt and never see it.
And that's the other risk of it, right? That's the other end of it.
It's win-win. It's win to me. It's win-win.
It depends on how the contract's written. We don't know.
Generational wealth.
It's a win-win for both.
I get you. I get you. This is going to be something to monitor for the next few years for sure. So go ahead, Scott.
So athletes, they tend to get preferential treatment, and here we go with the guy above my head being yet another fucking example of athletes getting preferential treatment when they fuck up. Look, we talked about it before. Don't be so hard on him. But when society is not hard on him for the same penalties that you and I would get, if we were in that situation, all because he can afford bail, now he gets to be at home wearing a GPS monitor, and a alcohol has to do alcohol.
Playing NBA 2K, mind you.
Right. He can sit there. He can sit there and do whatever he wants. He's made a decent amount of money so far. He could probably live off it for a little while. You know, I don't know his exact situation, but my whole point is, if this were anybody in this room that were in the situation that
We're
he was
doing the
in,
maximum years.
and we're not getting house arrest. Guess where all of us are sitting?
Still in jail right
Our
now.
asses are sitting in jail. Period.
I don't think he sees jail time. Not about not wanting it. Not about not wanting it. I know this justice system fucks up a lot. I could see him.
He sees it, but it won't be the average.
There's no way. Yeah. There's no way. Even I don't care how much money you get. I don't know. There's always OJ.
There's a death. There's a death here. There's a death involved here, which tells me that something has to come. I just don't. It's not going to be what it would be for the rest of the world.
His system is broken.
It is.
It's
all right, James. I know we talked a little bit about this prior to the show starting. We almost had Malice in the Palace 2.0.
You're the basketball fan.
The other day, LeBron, Isaiah Stewart, they get into a little bit of a scuffle. LeBron, they're standing at the free throw line. He's trying to get loose of this guy. This guy's got him wrapped up a little bit as he's trying to. They're both going for a rebound, and LeBron.
The same thing I was.
Yeah, they're standing on the free throw line trying to get positioning.
LeBron's elbow was on his shoulder the entire freaking time.
Because the guy was leaning into him. But either way, he was trying to clear himself out of there. Hit him with a left hand right in his face and opened up a nice gash.
Left elbow, not left hand.
Elbow and hand. It all connected.
It was right here.
Yeah. Either way, left a big gash in this guy's head. And he lost his shit. Like, multiple times lost his shit. You had both rosters, families, fucking referees. You had everybody out on this court, and there wasn't anything that was going to stop this guy.
Every time that you thought it was
telling fans, like, don't go on
the court.
We're used to this.
Every time that you thought, okay, they've got him under control, he's turned around, he's walking away. He was acting. He was a great actor because they dropped their hands on him and released their grip on him.
Let off, man.
So he went diving around, running around the other side like crazy. This shot in the middle, they're holding him back.
Nothing was gonna happen, dude.
I wanted to see it so bad.
He didn't get crazy until all the people were in between him and LeBron. That's the crazy part of all of it.
It was a good show, you know.
He got up into LeBron's face, and then people got in his
LeBron.
As much as I don't like LeBron, I understand.
You don't know what was said. We don't know what was said.
Hold on, let him talk.
I know what. As much as I can't
I was trying to talk.
As much as I can't stand LeBron, he wasn't that wrong, but at the same time, he came up and hit him on the elbow because what happened was he grabbed his hand, LeBron pulled away, and when he pulled away, he hit him in the face. It happened, and he got what he deserved. He should have been ejected because he hit him in the face. It was blood pouring out like it was a wrestling event.
Yeah, it was rough.
But that fight bullshit, it was all a show. He wasn't going to get near LeBron. He wasn't going to do anything because he's walking away. Then he runs over.
It's just...
And you had, like, the trainer, like, holding him. I'm sorry, you're 6'8", like 260 pounds, and you can't get by that guy. That's a bunch of shit. And then you have Westbrook, Antonio AD, all blocking away. No one's touching LeBron. LeBron didn't want anything to do. LeBron apologized after he hit it because, number one, he knew he hit him, and he was like, "Oh,
it wasn't intentional."
It wasn't intentional, but he was holding his hand, and LeBron pulled away. When he pulled away, it hit him in the face.
I know, but I so maybe it's just me. I so bad wanted to see this guy get to LeBron. I think LeBron. I mean, granted, he's a great basketball player. I think he's a bit of a bitch for as big as he is and as strong as he is. I really think he's a bit of a bitch. Yeah, I would have liked to have seen Stewart just fucking hit him. But that's me personally. Whatever it is, what it is. Speaking of fights, Scott. I had to text both of you guys last night. And you know me, I used to be a WWF fan. So I have not watched
Showing your age.
Since it's been WWE at all, really. But I do get on Twitter quite a bit. And it was all over Twitter last night. A fan comes out of the stands to attack, I guess, Seth Rollins.
So Seth Rollins is one of the bigger names right now in the WWE. He's one of the stars. And yes, this guy, your whole thing of like, yeah, he came around, he got it, and he attacked. This mofo, I've seen the shot from way back of somebody sitting in the stands. There's a giant Jumbotron that's like 50, 60 feet wide minimum.
Yeah, it's what they walk out underneath.
Right, they walk out underneath it. Plus, you got the ramp.
Right.
This guy came clean from one side of the ramp.
Oh, I saw the
made
end
it
of
all the way over and made it up halfway up the ramp to meet Rollins and literally tackle
Full
him.
speed laid into him.
Well, it was crazy.
Shout out to the Ravens.
My wife and I.
At least he could tackle.
She wasn't necessarily in the mood to watch football, and so she was like, "Let's just go ahead and watch the WWE." So we watched it a little bit because there were rumors that The Rock was going to be on there. So you always like to see when it's coming back, and they were talking about Red Notice, the new movie on Netflix,
right?
Which that was a horrible thing within itself, but. All of a sudden, you see Rollins, he's finished his match, he's walking back up, and all of a sudden you see this guy just come out of nowhere, and it was good tackle.
Yeah,
it was,
very formed.
Ravens needed to learn. But all of a sudden they immediately cut away. And my wife and I kind of looked at each other and like, who the fuck was that? Like, is it like, what's the angle? Where are they coming back? We realized very quickly they weren't showing Seth Rollins again. So it was like, oh shit, what's happening? So I get on Twitter and I'm like, Seth Rollins attacked, and boom, there it was. People were saying, yes, he's been attacked, yes, he's been attacked. Then the video started flooding in of the tussle that happened on the ground. The guy's pulling on his hair.
Right.
He's like, they're trying to get him off. Then comes the fact that you see them escort him. It takes like 6 guys to take this guy down. This guy's probably, I don't know, he's probably about my height. He's probably, 5'8", 5'9". But he's a solid 290.
Hey, big boy.
He was a big boy.
Whole lot of ass crack hanging out.
It was. But it took 6 people to get this kid out, right? Well, next thing you know, there's videos of fans in the stands that lead up, not the floor seats, but in the arena seats. There's two guys walking this guy out. How the fuck is this guy not in handcuffs? If this is any other sports venue,
that's because they knew this guy wasn't all there.
Yeah, and apparently from what you guys are saying,
afterwards,
apparently
NYPD still.
You're going to get arrested. You still broke the law.
Apparently, from what you guys are saying
Security's
too,
not going to arrest you.
He put out a video,
showed it, like,
a video on social media.
I just got out.
Seemed a few French fries short of a fucking Happy Meal.
Yeah,
it doesn't seem like he's all there.
He believes wrestling's real, and he always got hurt.
Well, I mean, his tackle was good. It was.
He doesn't realize people make fake accounts and got him stirred up. So
it's just kind of rare. I mean, you see players or fans run on the field at baseball games all the time. I guess just every now and again you'll see it on football. You see streakers at soccer games and stuff like that.
And they're always arrested. They're all tackled to the ground, put in cuffs, and walked away.
I've never seen it happen at a WWE
Well,
event. I've never. Well, Bret Hart way back in the day.
Yeah.
Bret Hart,
You know what's
right.
what was? I don't want to go on a tangent. What was hilarious was the same spot that guy came at last night is the same spot where they did the Hall of Fame. The Bret Hart got attacked at Barclays. The guy came from the same spot, so it's like a blind spot towards security where it's like, all right, well, our attention's here, and it's like a blind spot. It just kind of
interesting.
Happens. But this guy he went a long way.
All right,
you go all that way and not get caught. Yeah,
that's impressive.
Last thing I want to say, and this is just more of a feel-good story, and it comes out of Michigan, of all places.
Oh, right? Ryan's not listening.
University of Michigan. We talk about all the bad shit that's in the news and everything that gets the headlines and whatnot. And this is something that I saw the other day, kind of flew under the radar, and I think deserves more attention because when you think of the totality of what goes into this, right? This is Michigan running back Blake Corum. So we all talk about how they started the name, image, likeness this year, right? And these players, some of them, the elite levels, are making decent money on this stuff, and some of them are making just pennies and dollars. It's not a whole lot of money. Well, this guy used all the money that he's earned this year through the name, image, likeness to buy turkeys and to give back to less fortunate, man. And he put together these meal packages for some of the homeless and, again, some of the less fortunate families out there. This isn't a $1 million athlete that has a ton of money to spend. This isn't a number 1 overall draft prospect who knows he's going to be set for life, right? This is just a college kid who finally can make a little bit of money off of his name, putting together his money that he earned, his hard-earned money, and using it for good, man. It's a kudos to him And kudos to Michigan.
Yeah, I mean, this is a type of guy this is a type of story that will get this guy, maybe in a later draft or an undrafted free agent type thing. That just because somebody wants somebody like that in the locker room, that's going to be, that's usually a locker room type guy. Hey, everybody loves him. He's not the superstar, but everybody loves him.
To that point, Gook said he's a hell of a kid. Met him once, and he's nothing but humble and selfless. That's pretty awesome.
Right there, kind of in line with what we're saying.
Sums it all up, man. The kid is definitely he's got it all together upstairs for sure.
That's the wrong one.
You got me on the wrong thing. Jesus.
There you go.
What are you doing to me?
No rules. No boundaries. 2 topics. 30 seconds each. It's time for the 2-minute warning.
All right, fellas, it's time for the 2-minute warning. We got a couple of holiday questions here, with it being a couple days before Thanksgiving. We'll keep this festive and fun. Who's asking the first question? What do you got?
Him.
You got him? All right, Drew.
Here we go. Let's get Detroit off of this shit. So, what's a game that's not a current traditional on Thanksgiving Day that should be a yearly tradition?
All right, so the easy one here for me would be the Ravens and the Steelers, right? But I feel like a lot of that has kind of lost its luster since a lot of the greats have kind of retired and moved on. For me, though, and this kind of falls in the same pattern, I'm going to go NBA, right? Grew up a big Bulls fan. The Bulls and the Pistons was a great rivalry back in the day. I understand, those players aren't around anymore, but I feel like a game that should be on every year for the basketball.
I don't hate that. I'll go with a two-parter here. One from the NHL. I'd love to see a situation where it's like the Caps and the Rangers. Right, something along those lines, that it's a big festivity on that day. And then the other thing, just because I think it'd be freaking hilarious to watch on Thanksgiving, I'd love to see a match.
Yeah.
The PGA, the match where they do where it's Phil and somebody else partner with Tiger and somebody else. Right. I'd love to see that on Thanksgiving. I think it'd be just comedy.
Gotcha.
Comedy gold.
You can only eat 3 sides with your turkey this year. What's on the plate?
3 sides with my turkey, so I can only pick 3. All right, so slam dunk, I'm going stuffing. And I'm not talking stovetop stuffing. I'm talking the real homemade stuffing. I love stuffing. One of my favorite things that my family makes is a candied sweet potato casserole. It's not just sweet potatoes out of cans. It's an actual
marshmallows
casserole.
on top.
Yeah, and my other one, cranberry sauce. That would be my third.
All right, you weirdo. Well, first of all, I'm just going to say, I'm going to take it a little step further. My turkey is going to be smoked on a smoker. That's how you got to do it. I knew you'd like it over there. Boom. But for me, my three sides, the bacon version of green bean casserole, delicious. I love me some solid chunky mashed potatoes, and crab cornbread stuffing. Cornbread stuffing with crab.
I love cornbread. I love crab, but I cannot say I've ever mixed the two.
Oh, it's so delicious.
Man, I'm missing out.
We
Apparently,
gotta get you guys in the rundown, see what in the after hours, see what yours are here.
Yeah, for sure. All right, man. Appreciate you guys tuning in as always. Thanks again for all your support over the last couple of weeks with me being out and sick and everything. So I see it, it's noticed, and again, it's appreciated.
Yeah, we appreciate you guys tuning in. As we want to remind all of you, you can check us out on our website, www.birdlandbs.com. While you're there, obviously, you can check out all of our episodes, check out each episode and everything that goes with it. You can learn about each of us, contact each of us. Go check out the Shell and Tell episodes. They're putting a new one up a lot here as things start to heat up for the Terps and both sides. You also have the BS gear page, if I can talk. The BS gear page. Get yourself some Birdland BS gear. I know I'm always wearing it. James is sporting it over there as well. You can follow us through Big Play as well. It's another place that you can look us up. You can also look us up on all of our social media sites. It's super easy, guys. Whether it's Twitter, Facebook, YouTube, Instagram, all you got to do is search Birdland BS. you'll find us. Look for the logo, and that's how you can get to us. Make sure you like, follow, subscribe while you're there, and be a part of the Birdland BS Nation, guys. We love you guys. We appreciate all the love you and support you give us each and every week. And if you can't check out the live version or the video version, check out the audio version of the show. You can find it on any of your favorite podcast apps. Be sure to subscribe while you're there, and also give us those 5-star reviews. We really appreciate it. Thanks for tuning in, as always, for Fred, Drew, James, Ryan, who's not here, and myself. We'll see you guys.
See you. It's time for the after party.
It's last call for that alcohol.
Woo! Man, that was a long one. What time is it?
It was a long one. Yeah,
It's a 3 hour.
10:30. Holy fuck.
3-hour show.
3-hour show.
You wouldn't be 3 hours if I wasn't here. It's gotta be.
Nope. You had a lot of catching up to do.
I did. I had a lot of things to say, but it felt good, man. I've been here in a month. It feels like between we had to miss
3
a couple of weeks or whatever, and then I was
bye
sick.
week and then 2
Yeah.
weeks.
Yeah, and John Gook says one thing forgot in the show and tell segment. Shout out to the women's basketball team.
Absolutely.
They beat number 6 Baylor on Sunday by 3 and are now number 2 in the nation.
Shout out to Brenda Freeze and that team. We knew that they were going to be uber talented. They brought literally everybody back. Julian Reese's sister has been an absolute phenom for them. Hopefully Julian can continue his progression with the men's team, and those two can dominate for their 4 years that they're going to be here. That's an exciting team, and I'll be honest with you, from the pictures that I saw, I feel like they're getting more fan support than the men's team is right now, and it's rightfully so, the number 2 team in the country.
All right, so let's go to you guys real quick because you guys asked the questions. Or Drew, you asked us. We'll start with you. Let's start with the first one. What is your Thanksgiving tradition you would like to see sports-wise?
I mean, I really didn't give that one too much thought, to be honest with you. But it would be cool if there was a showcase, like if you told me, because it's competitive almost all the time. Like personally, if you said that every year Caps and Penguins played a game on Thanksgiving, that would be great for me because I think they're always having competitive games.
Right.
I don't really put too much thought into that. I mean, I know there's past years where like you've kind of complained like, all right, well, we're tired of seeing the Lions, we're tired of seeing the Cowboys, and I was always kind of like, you know what, that's now you're at the point like tradition's got to go at some point.
Yeah. I just feel like some of these traditions could change, over the course. Like it could have been the Ravens and the Steelers there for a while. What do you got, James? What's that game for you?
My game that I would love to see would be have like Alabama play the worst fucking NFL team and just say, let's see how bad you really are.
That would be super entertaining. They should
And
do
I
like
was-
a pay-per-view type thing for
I would
that.
say I would even pay for it. I
That's
would.
what I'm saying.
Because it's
Alabama
better.
takes on the Detroit Lions.
Yeah, like I would love it. And then it could be like Miami one year, Arizona before they became
I like where
irrelevant.
your head's at, man.
That'd
Yeah.
be great, dude.
John says Lions need to start earning their game. Yep, there it is.
Shit.
I warned you not to do that.
What's
but you didn't
weird is it
listen
went
anyway.
between cam changes with them, but not on the main one.
because that thing is not on their cams. That's why.
Interesting.
Yeah. So
All right, so we asked that.
It's off now, so we're good.
I saw a lot of people chiming in on the thing, but I didn't get a chance to read them yet. Drew, I'll ask you. All right, so outside of turkey, and you can only name 3 sides, what are your
well, we
sides
know
for
his
Thanksgiving?
his turkey smoked. So.
Right, smoked turkey, gotcha. 3
yeah.
sides.
Around my way, I got volunteered for Thanksgiving this year. For some reason, me and my wife and my mother-in-law were like, oh yeah, you should host.
That's not volunteer. That's voluntold.
Okay, well that's cool. All right, who's doing the turkey? Oh, I got to do a ham too. All right, cool. Yeah, okay. Let's just toast it on the smoker and we'll get it done. So if it's 3 sides, I mean, mine might be kind of boring, but
That's
like
right.
stuffing, you can never go
Right.
wrong. I mean, you can
I love
almost never
stuffing.
go wrong with stuffing. You can never go wrong with mashed potatoes or just right.
Yeah.
With and I love corn. So all that, like those are all 3. But if
Is
you're
it just like corn in a can, corn in a cob, or do you do any kind of like
corn
a
doesn't matter. It doesn't. It really doesn't.
cream
matter.
of
Corn's good.
corn?
Not cream corn. Get the no.
See, it doesn't matter. Oh, not a cream of corn.
Well, corn when it's solid. I'm not.
Okay.
I don't.
No
you
salt
know.
added corn.
No, you know. Yeah, my answers might be boring, but then at the end of the day, all that's on my plate. I'm taking that gravy boat and just.
I see a lot of people out there chiming in about mac and cheese. Nobody likes mac and cheese. I love mac and cheese.
I just don't really feel
but
like
I
a Thanksgiving. It'll be at our
That's my
Thanksgiving,
thing.
but I
eat mac and cheese throughout the entire year. I don't eat stuffing. I don't eat sweet potato casserole, and I don't eat cranberry sauce other than Thanksgiving or during this
It's
time
those
of year.
specialty type things, yeah.
James, what's your 3?
It's funny because I've been listening on the radio, multiple stations. They said that they asked like, what are the number 1 and number 2 things that people don't like? It's crazy. It was cranberry sauce and turkey. And a lot of people said turkey because it's dry and all that. I was like, I don't
And
know.
they're
who
not
cooked
cooking
this
it
up.
right.
But the thing is, growing up,
Clark Griswold.
No, I have always had oven turkey, and like it would take like when I heard it would take like 5 to 7 hours to fucking cook a turkey. But I started doing the fried turkey. Never go back to fucking oven. Don't take up any of my room. I host Thanksgiving dinner now.
You got that large deck. You better hope it doesn't catch fire.
Nah, I have a nice.
I've never done the fried turkey
Dude,
thing.
Neither have I.
I'll fuck it up. I'll be the one with the videos. With
No,
the fire all
no.
over my
But the
goddamn-
thing is, when I decided to do Thanksgiving in my house, I watched like 20 videos on how to do a turkey. Like you have to make sure it's thawed out. You have to make sure that you put your turkey in water and to see how far you got like bring the oil line up.
Yeah.
And then, nowadays when you do the turkey now they have like a timer, which you could bypass it, but it has a timer. So every 15 minutes you have to go out there. If not, the burner goes out. But there's a lot of dumb people, but it is the best turkey ever. Since I deep fry, I never have to take a nap. It doesn't
All right,
make me
so
tired.
I'm coming to eat Thanksgiving with you.
I'll
That's
show you
just what's
pictures,
happening.
but my turkey's like the best. I pat it off, clean it all up, and then I season it, inject it with butter, get it all ready. It's the best
Now
turkey.
I want Thanksgiving
It's
dinner
moist.
today.
It's
Now.
moist. It's not dry. It only takes 1 hour and 10 minutes.
What's your 3 sides, though?
And
You
my
haven't answered
sides
question.
are stuffing, mashed potatoes, and I make a banging cashew. What is it?
Cashew?
Cashews and string beans.
Cashew?
Yeah, it's
Like
So
make
kind of
sure.
like a casserole type thing.
But I do it all because I have the big ass fucking corn. I have green beans and I got string beans. And then this year I'm going with my glazed carrots.
Oh.
That's a good one.
Brown
Like
sugar,
a bourbon.
brown sugar with bourbon and butter. Carrots. So that's my new one that
right.
I'm adding this
I
year.
should have known James, being the one that comes from Pizza John's, would have an amazing Thanksgiving dinner.
And then I'm doing 2 hams this year because 1 ham was enough. I'm doing 2.
Is it a heavenly ham?
It's a spiral ham.
Spiral
That's the only
ham.
thing I
Theirs
do.
is pretty
I'm
simple.
doing one with a brown sugar. I'm doing one with a honey glaze on it. So I'm doing 2.
Sounds good.
So we got some people chiming in. Joe Carlozo says corn pudding, mashed potatoes, and green bean casserole. Chuck says cranberry
Never even
sauce.
heard of corn pudding, but I'm for it.
Cranberry sauce, corn, mashed potatoes, and like rolls times 1,000. And
Yeah,
Joe
the
says the
rolls.
rolls.
I got
Rolls
plenty
are
of rolls,
crucial.
dude.
The rolls help you pick it up off the
Yeah.
plate.
So speaking of that, I'm a TikTok star. I've made one TikTok. I'm not a TikTok star. By star, I mean I'm on there a lot, like way too often. And I saw this video yesterday. Speaking of Thanksgiving, so what they do with their leftovers, right, is they take a pizza dough, and they roll it out, and they put the butter on it like you would, and make a calzone out of the leftovers from
That's old news,
Thanksgiving.
Fred.
I had never heard of it before, and I was blown away. I'm
Dude,
like, oh my
that's old
God,
news.
it sounds
I
so
do that
amazing.
And pour the gravy and then fold it and put it in the oven. That's old
Apparently, I've
news,
been
dude.
missing out.
So Gook says he needs to know your address so he can show up. Chuck says fried turkey is fire both in taste and if you go
it's so moist
raise it
and,
a
and
fire.
you're never tired. Like I've been doing for 3 years. I'm not tired after I eat the turkey.
Oh man, I'm on my
It's-
ass.
it's heavy,
I
dude.
have legit. My fucking plate is so full, you can't even tell what color the plate is underneath my food.
Troy says BS Thanksgiving fiesta.
I love it.
Thanksgiving's the funniest thing because I'm like not a picky eater, but like I do weird things. Like I don't really like if I have a plate of a lot of food, like I'd rather not really touch each other. But
Oh, you're one of
Thanksgiving,
them.
all bets are off. Like I said, all
okay.
bets, throw the shit on the plate, gravy it up.
It all tastes great together. It doesn't matter.
It all tastes great together.
It does not matter what is on your plate. It can
Now,
all
look,
fucking go together.
You know what Thanksgiving is? Thanksgiving is your holiday KFC bowl.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And look,
That's a good comparison.
She's probably asleep at this point, but there's a funny thing. It's like an inside joke with me and my wife. Like she makes this thing for like, and it ain't just like Thanksgiving, Christmas. It's like anytime you do a Friendsgiving or whatever, some special thing. The only thing she can make is this broccoli casserole, and it's great, but I can't eat it anymore because it's for like that's the only thing you ever make. So like
right.
our running gag, like it's not touching my plate.
So a good follow up to that is, let me ask you this. Everybody pay attention, right? All the fixings. You've got this immense feast of options Thanksgiving, right? Everything you can imagine is on this table to pick from. What's the one thing you on Thanksgiving that you'll be like, nope, not fucking touching it? There's got to be something that everybody's like, no,
not my
for
house.
me.
Like at my house, like every year, or just like if there's everything in front of you.
Yeah, everything in front of you. If you've seen somebody else's Thanksgiving, you're like, oh my God, who would fucking eat that on Thanksgiving?
Cheesy Brussels sprouts. I'm staying away from them.
Really?
I'm not. I hate Brussels sprouts.
I mean, I don't see that as a
I don't know if I've
Thanksgiving
seen
thing,
that a lot of Thanksgiving,
but I do.
won't touch
I've
Brussels
seen,
love
I've seen people.
Brussels
I've seen people do that instead of like a broccoli type
casserole or
thing,
string
like
bean casserole.
or the green bean casserole. I've seen people do like a Brussels sprouts thing. I had a friend that's what they did, and I was like, nobody touched the Brussels sprouts except for them. So it was like, no, we're all good.
See, you're asking the wrong person because I'm making all the food, so it's everything I like.
Yeah, but you had to have seen, like, everybody in this social media day and
Bro, I
age,
mean, through your
everybody
life, there's
posts
something you're just
pictures
not
of their
gonna touch.
Thanksgiving
What's one thing that you-
meals.
It's probably because I don't.
There's got to
Maybe
be
because it's
something.
more Americanized. I don't eat green bean casserole. I don't
Okay.
eat any casserole, so that could be me.
Do you not like sweet potatoes? Do you like sweet potatoes?
I just start liking them.
Okay.
I just don't like the shit with the marshmallows. I'm not a sweet and
Yeah,
weird
my
guy.
uncle makes this amazing sweet potato casserole. It does have the marshmallow in it, but it's also got like chunks of the brown sugar
Yeah.
and like the some kind of nut in it. I don't even remember what it is, but it's so fucking good.
Troy says mushrooms. Joe and David say cranberry sauce.
So I don't even know what
Goog
this
says
shit.
pumpkin pie.
Cranberry sauce.
Oh, Googs, that's where I draw the line with you, my friend. We were friends until that moment. But here's the thing: I will say this: it is criminal to eat pumpkin pie without a massive glob of fucking I almost said Miracle Whip, a fucking Cool Whip on the pumpkin pie.
Talk about pumpkin
criminal.
pie. My favorite things. It's so funny. It's my favorite Thanksgiving memory. My grandfather was still alive. My dad made pumpkin pie, homemade. First time he ever made pumpkin pie. He was so proud of it. So we go to my aunt's for Thanksgiving. All right, it's time to break out the pies and stuff, right? So we break out the pie, dig into this pie. He forgot to put sugar or whatever. It was bland as shit. But my grandfather was a diabetic. Ate the whole pie by himself. He fucking loved it. Oh, my greatest Thanksgiving
great.
memory.
Yeah.
I don't touch the cranberry.
Somebody
stuff.
asked me. I
Keep
didn't
the
see.
cranberry
It.
stuff
I think it was
away from me.
David. He said, "Do you like the ridges?" I think he's talking about the cranberry sauce. So.
Do you like the one with the ridges? Yes, he's talking about the cranberries.
So I like all cranberry sauce. You can give me the cranberry sauce out of the can that are like the little slices
that
or
looks
whatever.
like the can.
That looks like the can. I can eat that. Or I can eat like actual homemade cranberry sauce with chunks of cranberry in it. I like it all. I mean, honestly, and it's one of those things, to your point with the Thanksgiving, I can put it on top of fucking everything. I can eat it on top of my meat. I can eat it on top of the...
I think that's
I
the
can eat it on the
thing
house.
about
I can
Thanksgiving.
eat it on the mouse. I can eat it here. I can eat it there.
I eat it everywhere.
Seuss. I think the thing for me is like it's great, but I think it's the one time of the year that it feels like your food becomes the most versatile it's ever been. Because everybody out there, everybody in this room, everybody out there, your point, the whole calzone thing.
Yeah.
My wife last year with the stuff that we made, I'm not the biggest cranberry. I'll eat cranberry sauce. I'm not. She made this thing last year that she tucked a cranberry in it, and it was there was just a sweet edge to it, but it was turkey and cheese and this. And I was like, "What's that sweet sauce?" She's like, "Cranberry," and I'm like, "She's like, I got you to eat cranberry," and I'm like. Yeah, okay. Like, it's the one time of year
Divorce.
that everybody has, like, a few different ways that you can take your
What else is
leftovers.
she willing to put in you?
I
without
just
you knowing.
I am
I
so
know, right?
like when people say that they don't like cranberry sauce or like they're blown, like I am so blown away by it. It's
Oh,
sweet.
just
It's so
I
good.
can't do it.
But,
I don't
real-
understand
but
it.
also, real quick, if anybody doesn't have anywhere to go, you're more welcome to come over to my house. And that's no lie, because Thanksgiving is meant for giving to anybody.
that's
My
awesome.
door's always open on Thanksgiving. I tell my employees, if they don't have anywhere to go or don't have any food, I got plenty of food and plenty of liquor. I have a full bar at my house.
I'll be up for the liquor
It's,
in the
it's always a
evening.
good time. So if no one has a place to go, you're more welcome at my door. My door's always
I got
open.
Thanksgiving
and
lunch,
as
Thanksgiving
far
dinner.
as-
I'll have Thanksgiving
Yeah, you
dessert
didn't
at
have
his
that
house.
far.
As far as desserts go, I am a pumpkin pie fan, but like I said, it's got to have a big
You know
thing
what I
of
really
Cool
love?
Whip on it.
Pecan pie.
That's where I was going next. That is my go-to. So my grandmother used to make this
Don't
pecan.
have any pecan pie this year.
She used to make this pecan pie that she mixed with Hershey's chocolate in it. She would melt the chocolate inside. Oh my fucking God. It was amazing. It got to the point though where my grandmother couldn't cook it anymore. You know, she had troubles with that kind of stuff. So like my aunt tries to make it now, and like I eat it.
It's not that.
It's not the same.
It's not the
Grandma.
same.
It's not
And grandma
doing
told
it.
her how to do it. Like this is
matter.
her daughter, and
Doesn't
it's
matter.
just not the same. I don't know.
All right, guys. Well, it has been a
Oh,
long
fuck,
show.
Come on Thursday.
You.
All right,
I'm
guys.
starving. Happy Thanksgiving
Thanksgiving.
to all of you
Happy
out
Thanksgiving,
there.
everybody.
We will see you guys next week. Hopefully, if I can recover from my food coma.
Appreciate it and love from Birdland BS. Happy Thanksgiving.
See you guys.